2023, a bill that is seeking to streamline the livestock sector by addressing the issue of theft of livestock across the country. It is a bill originating from the Senate, sponsored by Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei, and the Senate is seeking the concurrence of this bill that has already been passed by the Senate. The livestock prevention and produce theft, a bill of the year 2023, also seeks to provide for a framework for branding of livestock and the requirements to obtain a removal permit when livestock is to be moved from one premise to another. And this issue, proposing that there be a permit, is a move that is geared towards facilitating tracing as well as recovery of livestock in the event they get misplaced. And it is a bill that is seeking to provide and create a number of offences relating to livestock and produce theft and impose stiffer penalties on the commission of offences. Away from the livestock produce theft, the National Assembly will be addressing matters education this morning, where the House will be considering the Universities Amendment Bill of the year 2023, basically a bill seeking to streamline the education sector. This bill was introduced to address issues of overlapping roles of Kenyan universities and technical institutions that are offering diploma and certificate courses, a situation that has led to inconsistencies in course quality, content, and duration. My dear viewer, currently, the both technical and vocational education training, popularly known as TVET, or the TVET Authority, if you may like, as well as the Commission for Education, the Commission for University Education, are the bodies responsible for certifying diploma and certificate courses, creating regulatory challenges and confusion in the education sector. And this bill seeks to streamline the issues of concern. It is a bill that is seeking to amend the Universities Cap 210 to end the practice of universities offering certificate and diploma courses. This is informed by the fact that currently there are two bodies that are responsible for certifying certificates and diplomas. And this bill seeks to address the issues of inconsistencies in the education sector. Quickly following the Universities Amendment Bill is the Basic Education Amendment Bill of the year 2025 that is seeking to amend the already existing Act on the Basic Education. And it is a bill that is seeking to amend the Basic Education Act of the year 2013 to ensure alternative provision for basic education and training, that schools fall under the definition of basic education, and to provide for mapping, recognition, registration, and provision of equivalent benefits for alternative provisions of basic education training in schools. Away from the business of the National Assembly this morning, for the better part of last evening, the National Assembly was debating a number of bills as well as motions. And of key concerns is a petition that was brought to the National Assembly by a petitioner by the name Mr. Mbolo, who was seeking to have the National Assembly ban the TikTok platform in Kenya. For the better part of yesterday's afternoon sitting, members of the National Assembly were debating the report by the Petitions Committee that looked into the request by the petitioner for the National Assembly to regulate TikTok and equally consider total ban. The debate went on, with members debating the proposals as well as the recommendations by the Public Petitions Committee on that petition that was seeking to regulate TikTok. The members of the National Assembly who are given an opportunity to contribute or to give their insights in regards to that petition, as well as the committee report, proposed the tightening of the regulation of TikTok, basically putting in stringent measures to ensure that TikTok users, especially the minors, are using the platform in a manner that is preserving the Kenyan culture, that the minors are protected from the usage of this platform, and that Kenyans, especially the young people who are using the platform, use it in a manner that is preserving the platform's economic and social benefits and does not erode the Kenyan culture. In its report, the Committee on Petitions, in the report that the committee tabled on the regulation of TikTok in Kenya, the Committee on Public Petitions ruled out an outright ban and warned that such move would infringe the fundamental rights and undermine the opportunities on digital economy. Remember, Kenyans, especially the young people, have turned into digital economy to earn a living. And the National Assembly, so to speak, proposing that the platform not be banned outrightly, and instead proposing that stringent measures are put in place to protect the youth, comes as a sigh of relief to Kenyans, especially the young people who have turned to digital economy as a way of making a living. Members of the National Assembly, in debating the report, also highlighted both risks and opportunities associated with the platform, stressing on the need to shield minors from exploitation and inappropriate material that is streamed live on TikTok and other platforms that the youth are using in the country. The Penal Code Amendment Bill number 53 of the year 2024 by Honorable Anthony Oluoch is also set for consideration this morning. The Penal Code Amendment Bill.
Sergeant at Arms, you can ring the bell for 5 more minutes.
That is an additional 5 minutes by the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Gladys Boss, who is currently presiding over the business of the National Assembly, and the additional 5 minutes for the Sergeant at Arms to ring the quorum bell to have the House raise quorum is guided by the House Standing Orders number 34 that guide the House and the Speaker on matters quorum at the commencement of business. So we await for the 5 minutes, and the standing orders equally guide the Speaker on what to do in the event that quorum is not attained. But upon the lapse of the next 5 minutes, we await to see whether the House will be raising that quorum for the House to commence with the consideration of business lined up in today's order paper on a day or in a session that is set aside for the House to consider members' business or private members' bills, if you may like. The National Assembly has also lined up for consideration the Penal Code Amendment Bill for debate. It is a bill that has a number of amendments proposed to the existing Penal Code Act. This bill by Honorable Anthony Tomoloch, the Member of Parliament for Mathare, is a bill that is seeking to amend the Penal Code to delete Section 226. The proposed amendment will decriminalize suicide and enable attempted suicide to be seen as a serious problem requiring mental health interventions and not to be treated as a criminal offense. The member has gone ahead to list how the global perspective looks like and states in his bill that reducing the global suicide rate by 1/3 by 2030 is a target both by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and the World Health Organization, WHO, Global Mental Health Action Plan, and that various countries have committed to taking measures in this direction. For instance, the World Health Organization policy brief on decriminalization of suicide provides that an impediment to meeting this goal is a fact that suicide and suicide attempts remain illegal in at least 23 countries worldwide, and that decriminalization of suicide and suicide attempts represents one critical step that governments can take in their efforts to prevent suicide, and that further criminalizing suicide will not prevent people from acting on suicidal thoughts, and it simply stops them from reaching out or seeking for help when faced with this kind of thoughts. This bill by Honorable Member for Mathare is seeking to address the issues of mental health, and that to provide a surety to Kenyans that their mental health is an aspect that is valued by the state, and simply encouraging Kenyans or members of the public to open up about issues of concern that are leading to deteriorating state of mental health, and to seek help from professionals who are able to provide guidance on addressing issues to do with mental health that could be facing.
Sergeant at Arms, you may stop the
issues.
quorum bell. We may proceed. First order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 18th February 2026, in this morning session. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements of the National Government Constituency Development Fund for the year ended 30th June 2025, and the certificates therein in respect of the following constituencies: Butula, Lurambi, Machakos Town, Malindi, Maragua, Marakwet West, Matuga, Mbooni, Masop, Mount Elgon, Mukurweini, Muatate, Naivasha, Nandi Hills, Ndhiwa, Njoro, North Mugirango, Nyali, Nyaribari Chache, Pokot South, Ruiru, Sabatia, Samburu North, Sigor, Soi, Starehe, Suba North, Suba South, Suna West, Taveta, Tetu, Tiati, Tarbo, Turkana South, Ugenya, Ugunja, Uriri, Vihiga, Undanyi, and Yata. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements. Order number 8, the Sexual Offences Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 78 of 2023, second reading, resumption of debate.
Honorable members, when we adjourned this debate, Honorable Jessica Mbalu was on the floor and she had a balance of 8 minutes. So if she's here, she can proceed. Okay, she's not in the house. Members who want to contribute, kindly press the intervention button. Okay, Honorable James Nikal, you are the first one. Member for same. Yeah, Sexual Offences Bill, yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Let me start by saying this is an extremely important bill as regards Sexual Offences Bill and how it affects the victims, particularly girls, young girls specifically. Madam Speaker, what this bill actually seeks to address 2 issues. Let me start with a little peripheral one. It's defining the minister, and it's basically that is to line it with the Constitution. But Madam Speaker, I want to raise an issue there. What is in the Sexual Offences Act also defines the minister as a minister responsible for legal affairs and so on. What came through my mind, and you as a lawyer probably can guide on this, in this country today, who is the minister responsible for legal affairs? Is the Attorney General a minister? So it brings to my mind that even as we talk about the Act itself, I have a feeling the Act is hanging in terms of which minister should administer the Act. Because the Act says the minister responsible for legal affairs. The structure of the government as we know it, Madam Speaker, is that we have Attorney General who is sitting in the cabinet, but is the Attorney General, is she a minister by definition? So I think that as we align this with the Constitution is something we can look at. I don't know whether we can take advantage, or maybe we can look at in the Committee for the Implementation of the Constitution, which still exists, to look at that issue and define what the Minister for Legal Affairs is. Other ministries, okay. When you say health, when you say education, we understand. But when you say legal affairs, there's an issue there. Madam Speaker, that was important to me, but I support the fact that we should align it with the Constitution. We're calling them cabinet secretary instead of minister. So that I support. The second issue in this is actually to support to give education regarding sexual offenses. I think this is extremely important. There are many issues that people actually don't realize. Even when somebody is affected, like issues of defilement or rape, how you conduct yourself immediately, how people conduct themselves immediately. Like they would say, okay, this has happened, let somebody take a bath and let's go and report. The moment you take a bath and go and report, you have actually destroyed the evidence. So people need to know exactly what happens if you are going to follow a legal process and how you report. We also know that even in the places where people report, when you go to the police stations and so on, the way people are treated is actually not supportive. Sometimes the victim actually, the behavior that seems to imply that the victim called this upon themselves. We need education in those areas so that the public should know that in many cases, this is somebody who has been grossly offended. And I think it's hard for people who have never been affected to understand how gross this violation is. I don't think there's any violation for a human being that is greater than a sexual offense that is inflicted on a person. So the psychological impact is huge. And there's need for widespread education to understand the circumstances surrounding it, the legal issues there are, the psychosocial issues, the physical trauma and even the possible long-term physical and health impacts of this. These are things that should actually be known. And the bill itself is general enough so that we can literally craft many issues on that. So that bit on new section 46A, promote public awareness on sexual offenses through national education and information and campaigns. I support that because you can put literally everything on that, the circumstances surrounding it, what really happens, who are the perpetrators, how we deal with it. Because sometimes people put upon themselves alternative dispute resolution. I don't think this is a situation where you will want an alternative dispute resolution that, oh, this is something has happened within the family, now I think let it just go, or some compensation. The family may feel that there's been compensation, but what about the victim themselves? Throughout their life, will that compensation really heal what they are going through? So that is extremely important. The other thing is the legal processes that are involved. How do people go about it? There is also an issue of stigma and shame. So people don't even want to come out and say, particularly if it happens in private, and in many cases, it will actually happen within families. Then people don't want, because of the stigma and the shame, they don't want to come out and say what happened. So people live with this for years, and you have children who are affected for life, or something that was hidden and kept, because even the people who are seeking peace did not, they looked at the relationship within the families, within the area, but they did not look at how it affects the person themselves, the victim. So I think that is important, that with that area of promotion, we can broaden it, it can be wide, and the two cabinet secretaries that are involved will really have to really get a very huge program. And the issue here, we are giving the task primarily to the cabinet secretary in charge of legal affairs. But to a large extent, the education cabinet secretary will actually have a larger impact, have a larger mandate in terms of education. Schools are the best areas for changing people's character. So again, how will that be done? And I support when you have A and you have B. When you have to be, again, in consultation with the cabinet secretary responsible for matters related to education, again, that, as I said, is a big one. And it's, again, a big area. And we have to look at, when we come to education, when victims, particularly young girls, and even boys now, boys get sexually molested. Again, these are areas where a lot is hidden. How does it affect the education? The psychologically, how do they perform after that? How does it affect their conduct, their behavior? They may actually drop out of school. They may actually be trans. They may actually be very rude and uncontrollable in school without people really realizing that the basic issue is what affected them. And when it comes to girls, Madam Speaker, if they get pregnant, leave alone the stigma that now this happened to you, probably you are not clean, now do you come back in class and be with us? How are they affected by their mates in the school? How are they handled by teachers? Even teachers themselves actually need to be educated. So that is important. But should they be pregnant, then you have another big issue. I know in this country we are relaxed about it. Girls can go and go back to school after they've been pregnant, but I don't think there is a legal framework that people can say, you cannot send me away from this school, because sometimes they actually go to another school. So that we need a legal framework on how do you handle them? What support do they need? And it's not only in probably senior schools and even up to university, even up to colleges. People are still affected if this happens. Are there any ways that they actually can be supported? Because this actually makes them vulnerable persons when this has occurred. So now when we are talking of vulnerable persons, somebody who has been a victim of sexual offense becomes themselves vulnerable in the future. And therefore, it is important that that is taken into consideration, particularly if they become pregnant. Do we give them the support? We give them the support. How do they look after do they take the two roles? Because, Madam Speaker, let me tell you, biological forces are much greater than social forces. If you take a girl who has gotten pregnant and you put the welfare of their child against education, they'll pick the welfare of the child. So they will need to have the support so that the welfare of the child is taken care of so that they can continue with the education. That's a specific support we should look at. So, Madam Speaker, I see this as an extremely important bill that we should support. But as I said, the area of definition of the Cabinet Secretary is something we look at. With that, Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Malindi. Honorable Amina Mnyanzi.
Mheshimiwa Spika, asante sana. Nasimama kuunga mkono mswada wa marekebisho wa makosa ya kijinsia kama ilivyopendekezwa katika mswada huu wa marekebisho katika kifungu cha 46A kupitia uhamisaji wa umma kuhusu makosa ya kijinsia. Tutakuza utamaduni wa heshima, kuzuia unyonyaji wa makundi yaliyo katika mazingira hatarishi, kupunguza unyapaa unaozunguka makosa ya kijinsia na kukuza usawa wa kijinsia. Hata hivyo, ninapofikia kuanzisha kwa programu za kulinda, kuhifadhi na kuendeleza haki ya elimu kwa waathiriwa wa makosa ya kijinsia, wakiwemo waathiriwa wa mimba za utotoni, pia napendekeza mamlaka za uchunguzi zihusike kikamilifu katika kutekeleza sheria dhidi ya wahusika ya makosa. Mheshimiwa Spika, katika eneo langu bunge ambalo ninalolitoka, Mheshimiwa Spika, na ndio sababu kwa nini naunga mkono huu mswada, tumeweza kuona ya kwamba watoto wadogo wameweza kunyanyasika na wameweza kutumika vibaya kwa muda mrefu. Mheshimiwa Spika, mwaka jana, Mheshimiwa Spika, tulipata mtalii mmoja ambaye anatoka nchi ya South Africa na aliweza kulala na kuhadaa watoto zaidi ya 10 ndani ya Malindi, na hakuna jambo lolote lenye ambalo lilifanyika baada ya hapo. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono hii mswada kwa sababu hata wale ambao walikuwa wameathirika, Mheshimiwa Spika, hawakujua baada zile athari ambazo walikuwa wamefanywa na huyu mzungu, hawakujua ni jinsi gani ya kuweza kujibeba, kuweza kwenda polisi, na jinsi gani ya kuweza kutetea haki zao, Madam Speaker. So vitu kama hivi, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni lazima watu waweze kufundishwa. Mafunzo haya yaweze kupitia hapa bunge. Tuko sisi viongozi ya kina mama wa bunge, kuna cabinet secretary. So mambo kama haya, Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiyaweza kuyazingatia kwa ukamilifu, tutaweza kusaidia wale watoto wetu kule nje waweze kujua haki zao, waweze kujua vitu kama hivyo vikitokelezea wanapaswa kufanya nini, wafike wapi, ili waweze kujisaidia kuweza kupata haki yao. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia vile vile naona katika mitandao ya kijamii kuna watu kadhaa ama kuna mzungu kadhaa mwenye ambaye hatoki katika Kenya yetu na anazunguka huko nje, Mheshimiwa Spika, na inasemekana ya kwamba ameweza kuhadaa na kulala na wanawake wetu wengi, na naomba serikali iweze kutukulia hatua na sheria iweze kufuata mkondo wake, Mheshimiwa Spika, ili yule mtu ambaye ameweza kufanya masuala kama haya aweze kushikwa. Labda ni kweli watu walikuwa wameelewana kujihusisha katika matendo kama yale, lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, lazima pia tuweze kuangalia ya kwamba katika kuelewana kule hakukuwa na maelewano ya kwamba yale matendo ambayo yametendeka wakiwa wao kama watu wazima wawili, ilikuwa kuna ulazima gani ya kuweza kuipeleka mambo yale katika hadhara. Saizi tunaona kuna nyumba za watu zenye ambazo zinavunjika, kuna ndoa za watu ambazo zinavunjika, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo vitu kama hivi, Mheshimiwa Spika, tuko na ulazima ya kuweza kupigilia msasa, ya kuweza kusaidia wananchi wetu, ya kuweza hata juzi, Mheshimiwa Spika, tumesikia kule na naendelea kufuatilizia na mapolisi wangu sehemu za Watamu, tumesikia ya kwamba kuna mzee wa zaidi ya miaka 75 ameweza kulala na kumuhadaa msichana mdogo wa miaka 15, Mheshimiwa Spika. So vitu kama hivi, Mheshimiwa Spika, vinaturudisha nyuma na ni aibu kama nchi kama vitaendelea bila ya serikali kuweza kuingililia kati, na ni sisi ni tusimame tuweze kuweka mikakati sawa, tuweze kuweka sheria sawa sawa ili tuweze kusaidia watu wetu, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga kikamilifu mkono hii sheria hii ili tuweze kuokoa watu wetu na tuweze kujua ni jinsi gani venye ambavyo tutawasaidia. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
The Honorable Member for Kitui West, Honorable Edith Nyenze.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to hear my views on this bill. I say this is a very important bill because it actually tries to deter the acts of the offenders, offenders to the victims of sexual violence. It's very important to actually have a stricter and harsher penalties on people who commit such offenses, and this one will ensure that in future we reduce the numbers. Because if we continue like this, then this will affect the society, because these offenses resort into unwanted pregnancies, and this affects our children's education. It also affects their health, because it also results in sexually transmitted infections. So in such, it shows that our children or the people who are offended are psychologically affected. And since they are psychologically affected, they would need a lot of counseling, a lot of treatment. And on this, I would even say that with our education, these things should be taught to our children, should be introduced in schools, so that the young people, the young children, especially girls and boys, would know people won't try to attract them to commit sexual offenses and also affect their lives. So it's good to introduce such in our schools, in our education system, so that our children taught early. And then after the offenses are done, this bill is actually trying to improve the justice, to show that evidence should be collected and witnesses protected. Because such offenses, when they happen, people may fear to come up with as witnesses. But this bill is trying to improve justice to the victims by ensuring that better evidence is collected and witnesses are protected. This bill is also trying to support the survivors by the establishment of safe spaces and shelters for the victims. And by doing so, especially from if it's done in the family cycles, it can be done repeatedly and eventually and psychologically affect the victims in such a way that they may not have a way of escape. But if there is an establishment of safe spaces and shelters, then these people can be put in a secure place where they can be free to discuss about the offenses done to them, and where they can also be counseled so that they can get out of this stigma, because it brings about stigmatization. So this, there is also the issue of strengthened evidence collection. This bill aims to improve the collection and preservation of forensic evidence to support prosecutions. And when this one is strengthened, then it would mean that it would deter future happenings and reduce the number of people who would be involved in such. So, Madam Speaker, it's not Madam Speaker now. Speaker now, I say that there should also be mandatory compensation where offenders will be required to pay compensation to their victims in addition to serving prison sentences. And this bill ensures that compensation is done and to the victims, and also ensures that when they are put in prison, this will ensure that in future happenings are reduced. So I support this and say that it's a bill which has come at the right time. So I support.
Thank you. The Honorable Robert Pukose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support this bill by the Honorable Doris Donya Buri on amendment to the Sexual Offences Act of 2006. And it's a short bill, Honorable Speaker, that looks to amend where we are talking about minister, and now in line with the new constitution, we are talking about cabinet secretary. It's also introducing in a new clause that the cabinet secretary shall promote public awareness on sexual offences through nationwide education and information campaigns. And this, I think, goes a long way, Honorable Speaker, to inform the public, to inform what are these sexual offences. Because occasionally you might find that people do things which they think they might be normal, but when you look at the law interprets them as a sexual offense act, and it's not a right thing, and somebody should be able to be held accountable to that. In 46B, in consultation with the cabinet secretary responsible for matters relating to education, establish programs to safeguard, protect, and promote the right to education of victims of sexual offenses, including victims of teenage pregnancy. Honorable Speaker, you find that once somebody is been involved in sexual offenses, normally the victim carries a lot of weight, and more often the victim is looked on that and even gets withdrawn. This victim needs psychological support. It needs psychiatric assessment and also some bit of psychological support to be able to integrate back into the society. You have even teenage pregnancies, and this is a common thing, Honorable Speaker. They should also be assisted back to get into education, get back to school, and then be able to become productive citizens. Because more often you'll find that in many societies where you have teenage pregnancies, the victim drops out of school, and the parents are not even supportive. And therefore, I think once we provide this in law, then we make it mandatory that anybody, whether you've teenage pregnancy, sexual offenses, can be integrated back into the society and get education to a level to which this person can be able to be a productive member of the society. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Thank you. Member for Uasin Gishu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, I want to begin by congratulating and appreciating my colleague, the Honorable Donya Doris, for having the foresight to introduce this amendment to the Sexual Offences Bill. Ever since the Sexual Offences Bill was passed, yes, we've put many things in the law, and we should be safer. But unfortunately, there has been lack of awareness of what the law provides and the various protections that they can give to victims of sexual offenses or survivors of sexual offenses. And this particular amendment serves to cure that mischief, that we have put everything in the law, but the implementation has been wanting because of the lack of awareness. And what is laudable about these amendments is that it goes back to the very source where information can be given to our children and young people. There has to be aggressive campaigns starting from the schools. If you look at countries that have successfully been able to deal or mitigate the mischief for sexual offenses, they have been able to have campaigns at the school, awareness at the school, where children even have books from a very early age that inform them about what is a sexual offense, what is bad touch, what is good touch, what are the rules. Like many schools, they will not allow a male teacher to be with a female student with the door closed, to be open. In certain circumstances, there has to be another person in the room. When it is health workers, it's the same thing. There has to be another person in the room so that there is not only prevention, but there is also ensuring that the victim is not exposed to more abuse. We also have, when we talk about awareness and more education programs, it's also important to ensure that even the manner in which we have our reporting system, it should be one that is is protective. For example, I have constantly appealed to the Inspector General of Police and even the advisor on security matters to the President to say that we must have a situation where the gender desks in the police stations should actually be situated in the hospitals and in the dispensaries. Because when a person is defiled or raped, the first place they should go is to a hospital, not to the police station, or to the hospital first, then to the police station to get the P3, then go back to the hospital and so on, because even the police station doesn't feel safe. The place everyone runs to is the nearest hospital. And so that as we carry out these public campaigns, we tell people, when this happens, your first stop of call is to a health center, where you can get help, and you will feel safer speaking to a police officer who is stationed there, and where you have the protection of health support workers. Also, there is still need to be more awareness in relation to the way even the community deals with it. I know that once upon a time in the history of this country, right in this house, there was a member of this house who was accused of defilement and impregnating a young girl. And when they were about to be arraigned or investigated, they married the girl. And they got away with it. But that was before the time we had the sexual offences bill. And therefore, that still continues in certain areas that the public doesn't know. In fact, some families think in order to cure the shame is to have the girl married off. And it's even worse when it is a boy child who is sexually abused, because it's almost taboo and nobody reports it. In fact, they are told to man up and not say anything about it. And therefore, this is extremely important. This bill will also curb, with this awareness and education, it will also curb the problem of teenage pregnancies. The last time I checked, the World Health Organization put Kenya as having the highest number of teenage pregnancies in the world. And Kilifi County has the highest number of teenage pregnancies. So you can only begin to imagine what a big challenge there is. And therefore, I wish to support these amendments, and I must encourage our members of parliament that the law is not static. We must continue changing it as new challenges emerge. So if we find that even after these amendments we need to put in more amendments, we should. And even following this particular amendment on the substantive legislation or the Act of Parliament, we must make sure the manner in which this awareness, public awareness, and establishment of the education programs to safeguard and protect and promote right to education of victims of sexual offences, we must have a manner in which we do it. So it will be important that the Committee on Delegated Legislation to immediately engage and begin to develop regulations that can be able to guide this particular amendment. And with that, I support and appreciate, again, the members of Parliament who have been very supportive of this particular amendment. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Makali Mulu. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to join colleagues in supporting these amendments to the Sexual Offences Act, Honourable Speaker. And as has been said, there are only two amendments. One is aligning the bill to the new constitution, where instead of talking about ministers, we talk about cabinet secretaries. And the second amendment targets creation of awareness on issues relating to sexual offenses. Honourable Speaker, when I listened to the Deputy Speaker make her remarks, something has just reminded me of something I've always been thinking, and maybe something we might consider as we go to the future, Honourable Speaker. I don't know whether we have a mechanism of finding out how the acts of parliament we pass here, in terms of implementation, are performing out there. And maybe that feedback might help us have more targeted amendments in the future. But having said that, Honourable Speaker, the issue of sexual abuses is all over the place, Honourable Speaker. These abuses have been experienced in churches, in the villages, in the offices, and even in our homes, Honourable Speaker. And I think the proposal to create awareness is a very important proposal, Honourable Speaker, because the victims need to know at what point am I abused, and at what point do I have a case to push forward. Because in some circumstances, Honourable Speaker, it might happen that there's an agreement. And I think where there's an agreement, Honourable Speaker, then you can't start complaining after that, having agreed. But it's important that the victims all Kenyans are trained or are educated on what really what are the borders for you to say that I've been abused sexually, Honourable Speaker. But this is a very common thing, Honourable Speaker, and really I want to thank the Honourable Member who came up with this, because once people are educated, Honourable Speaker, it will be very easy to have the victims and the offenders actually the offenders can now be arrested and taken to court and be punished for this bad acts, Honourable Speaker. But having said that, Honourable Speaker, this is also applicable to both our children who are female and also boys. It's also applicable to adults, Honourable Speaker, because we've seen this many times. And what we need to ask ourselves also, Honourable Speaker, is what is really the main cause of this? Because I think there could also be a social disorder. Culturally, Honourable Speaker, people don't expect to do these things in a forced way. You don't need to use force. You use persuasion. So in a situation where force is being used, Honourable Speaker, then it could be a trigger to some other problem, Honourable Speaker, and we need to find out what really causes this. Is it psychological issues or is it mental issues? Because issues of also mental health, Honourable Speaker, have become very common. The other thing, Honourable Speaker, we need to find out, ask ourselves this: could this also be because of the exposure? You know, our young people are watching television, the adults are also watching television. Could it be influencing that people really practice some of the things they see without really factoring in the cultural issues? So even as I support this, Honourable Speaker, I think we need to have a very well-structured way of creating awareness so that it could be in schools, it could be in the families, because I find it, most families have actually abdicated their roles in terms of talking about matters sex, hardly discussed in family setup. So I think we need to go back to our earlier arrangement where even at family level, the grandfathers and grandmothers could sit with the young ones and educate them on some of these sexual issues. But schools can do that. Even church can also help.
But Honourable Makali, when you started, I was trying to hear you properly.
Yes.
Are you trying to make excuses for a sexual offense?
No, I'm not making excuses.
What I'm saying, no excuse. Just
there's no excuse. I'm just saying I'm just saying, Honorable Speaker, that I support the creation of awareness.
Okay.
But it has to be very structured, as I said, so that it can even start at the family level, then it can move to the church, and then it can move to the schools. And then the barasas, because even us, as members of parliament, we do a lot of barasas, Honorable Speaker. And I think in these barasas, we could be able to share with our people, the people who vote for us, some of the basics in terms of what do you need to do in case you are sexually abused. So that in that case, then the offenders can be punished. Otherwise, most of the offenders are getting away with it because maybe there is no evidence, or the way the case has been structured is not the way it should be. So once we create awareness, I see a situation where we can reduce this problem to bare minimum. So with those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support and thank the Honorable Member who introduced these amendments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honourable members, as communicated earlier, those who want to contribute to this bill, please press the intervention button. And so the next member online is the Honourable Member for North Imenti, the Honourable Dawood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support this motion by Honorable Doris Donya. And Mr. Speaker, the first thing is, it started off with Honorable Joaquin Ndugu, the current judge of the Supreme Court, when she introduced the Sexual Offences Bill in 2006, which became an act of Parliament. And I think from there, we have taken off. Mr. Speaker, it is quite well to talk about public awareness, and I think it's a good thing with the public awareness. But, Mr. Speaker, we need to go further than the public awareness. Mr. Speaker, there was this report by the Gender-Based Violence Task Force where the former Deputy Chief Justice, Dr. Barasa, presented to His Excellency the President. And it goes further to say that sexual offenders should be castrated chemically. Mr. Speaker, I agree to that completely, and if it would be possible, if we can amend this bill to put that into law, I think it will go a long way. Mr. Speaker, we cannot be talking about teenage pregnancies at this time, because those teenage pregnancies, there must be a man behind that. And we need to not just leave it at that. We need to get DNA results and charge those people who have impregnated the girls, take them to court and let them be sentenced, Mr. Speaker. But if our public awareness is just saying that we have got teenage pregnancies and not dealing with it, I think we do not go far enough. We need to go further than that. When we are saying awareness, we need even that, I think one of the speakers has said, that we should know where to report. Mr. Speaker, we have an issue in the country where sexual offences reporting is very, very low because of stigma, because of when a person who has been violated goes to report and they are laughed at and they are asked, you know, those minor details. We need to keep that aside. We need to have proper gender desks, whether it is in the police stations. But I would suggest to Honorable Donya, if she could introduce that we have those reporting desks at the hospitals. That is where the first reporting station would be, because when somebody is sexually defiled, they are taken first maybe to the police station, or they are taken first to the hospitals. And I believe if it is possible, we have a gender desk to report those things in a hospital and then do a follow-up. Because otherwise, going to a police station and not finding a female officer available to take your report, it makes it very difficult to report because you are ridiculed and nothing is taken into account. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Nyenze talked earlier about the penalties in this bill, but Mr. Speaker, there are no penalties in this bill because I think she may have been reading another bill, but we need to introduce the penalties. We need to remove the gender desks from the police stations to the hospitals, and I have made a suggestion earlier to the Minister, the Principal Secretary for Medical Services, Honorable Mudhoni, that we need to now change the way we work. Because unless we do not do that, we will not get those, and let us get the sexual violence in the community. It should not be sorted out in the community. It should go to an open court of law, because by sorting it out, you are hindering the rights of the offended. Mr. Speaker, I think if we could do those few things, then we can change the history. But I am for castration, whether it is chemical or any other. Wacha wakatwe. Mungu awabariki.
Thank you. The Honorable Irene Mayaka, and before you contribute, all members join me in welcoming students from Fero School, Nairobi, Embakasi Central, Nairobi County. They are here to follow proceedings this morning. They are welcome to follow proceedings, and I would urge the Honorable Mayaka to welcome them as she makes a contribution.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And before I even begin, let me take the opportunity to welcome the students to Parliament. It's a great opportunity for them to be able to learn what it is that their legislatures do. So, karibu sana to the students. Honorable Speaker, I would like to also add my voice to this particular amendment bill, which seeks to amend Section 46A of the Sexual Offences Amendment Bill, sponsored by my sister, the Honorable Doris Aburi. And I'd really like to thank Honorable Donya for bringing this bill and for sponsoring it. Because, Honorable Speaker, this is a very important bill, especially at this particular point, because a lot of assumption is made that there's awareness in terms of what sexual offenses and how sexual harassment even begins. Honorable Speaker, Part A of the bill is talking about promotion of public awareness on sexual offenses through a nationwide education and information campaign. Honorable Speaker, this last weekend, we've been treated to very embarrassing videos of a Russian guy who was trying to woo Kenyan women, who were quite unaware because of he was wearing gadgets that were taking videos while he was trying to woo them. And Honorable Speaker, if you look at even Section 55, Section 43(1)(f of our Constitution, which speaks about general right of education for everyone, I actually think that this education is not even important for just children. Even us as adults, we need this education, because people need to be very aware of their surroundings and people who are trying to woo them into this direction. Because it's very embarrassing to see grown women in Kenya being wooed into getting into hotel rooms, into Airbnbs, without even being aware of their surrounding. They don't even know if this is someone who wanted to even harvest their organs or rape them or something like that. So awareness of this is very, very important. And awareness begins, Honorable Speaker, from even the girls being able to know that it is okay to say no. Because some of them don't even know that it is okay to say no. They think they're doing men a favor, or they think by saying no, they're being disrespectful. So this education is very important. Honorable Speaker, even the issue of stigma. Because a lot of times the reason why sexual offenses are not even brought to justice is because of the stigma attached to it. So the people in the home state do not even want to go and report that their child has been raped, even if it's by someone who is a relative to them, because they feel like it brings embarrassment to their home. So it's very important for people to be aware that it is okay to actually report this. Section 2 of the amendment by Honorable Donya seeks to ensure that the Cabinet Secretary, in consultation with the responsible for matters of education, is also ensuring that this particular education is being done. I had Honorable Nyikal questioning and asking who the Cabinet Secretary in charge of legal affairs is. Right now, under our current constitution, we do not have a Cabinet Secretary for legal and justice and constitutional affairs as we did in the previous dispensation. But we do have the AG, who has the legal affairs department that sits under her office. Secondly, we also have the women advisor to the cabinet who advises the president on matters to do with women affairs and policies relating to women. So we do have people who are sufficiently representing us in cabinet in terms of these particular affairs and who can actually take this up. And Honorable Speaker, I really want to believe that once this is actually assented into law, that we will have the necessary steps taken in place by the cabinet secretaries in charge of this so that we can have a comprehensive curriculum on sexual matters in this country. Because we shouldn't take these things for granted. And Honorable Speaker, already in the Constitution, it covers the fact that we have a right to education, not only in terms of compulsory basic education as is indicated in Article 53(1)(b), but also Article 53(1)(f) that talks about general right of education, Article 55A that talks about statute of ensuring there's relevant education to the youth and training, and Article 55B that talks about minority and marginalized in terms of guaranteeing specialized opportunities in education. So this is already covered in terms of the Constitution. But also further emphasis, Honorable Speaker, is that addressing the issue of education going further into actually addressing the issue of sexual offenses and addressing the issue of the need for education and ensuring that our children, our young ones, from the onset really are aware of these particular factors. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to support this particular bill because we stand at a situation that is very grave in our country. We have so many cases of early pregnancies that are currently occurring. And Honorable Speaker, this is a matter that we all need to take responsibility of as leaders in this country, and also in terms of the level of Cabinet Secretary in ensuring that the specialized education on sexual offenses, on victims of teenage pregnancy, on stigma issues are all taken into consideration, and there's practicability in ensuring that this particular new amendment is actually implemented. With those few remarks, I support and I submit. I thank you.
Thank you. I cannot see the member for Lamu East in the House. Is she in the House? Then member for Marakwet, Elgeyo Marakwet, the Honorable Bangaleche.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute into the bill. And let me appreciate Honorable Donya for bringing in the bill of Sexual Offense Amendment Bill 2023, National Assembly Bill number 78. Mr. Speaker, this is something that has actually been affecting our communities, and we have been missing, or we have never figured out the proper way of doing awareness or making our children or even adults, as Honorable Mayaka has said, to be aware of what is happening. As much as we have the sexual amendment, so the Sexual Bill Offense Act, we lack advocacy, and therefore, if we are to implement this bill as intended by Mheshimiwa Donya, by addressing the gap in the law by mandating the responsible Cabinet Secretary to promote public awareness on sexual offense through nationwide education and information and campaign, it will improve on how we deal with sexual offense bills. Mr. Speaker, you know, we live in communities whereby some of the issues are preferred to be under or are preferred not to be made public, even as ugly as they are, or even when they are affecting and are bringing a lifelong effects to an individual. At times, some communities would prefer not to discuss some issues, and it is not even some few communities, but even individuals would prefer to keep mum over some issues. Maybe their child has been molested, has been raped, or even adults, they will prefer to keep it under for the fear of shame. And at times, it's also because the law might not be adequate enough or does not may properly not be able to apprehend the victims. So, Mr. Speaker, there is a word in the Bible, I'm a strong Christian, and I would wish to wish all the Christians happy Lent and the Muslims even as they start their Ramadan. Proverbs 22 verse 2 says, train up your child in a way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. Some of these instincts, some of the issues we teach our children will never depart from them. And one of the issues that I advocate, Mr. Speaker, that should be taught to our children is what is wrong and what is right. Not only what is wrong and what is right, they should also be taught what happens when somebody has done something wrong to you, or something that can have lifelong challenges or some lifelong complications. Like, for instance, in our societies, there is a very high rate of teenage pregnancies. You find that those teenagers are underage girls who are not of, who constitutionally are underage. They didn't consent, or they were, most of them, you find they've been impregnated by adults, people who are supposed to be their caretakers, people who are supposed to be teaching them. And you wonder why in the society there are so many teenagers who are pregnant or who have children, and there are no people being charged for impregnating them or to have abused them as young girls. So there is a problem and there is a gap there, because you find these girls don't know where to run to. They are not aware where they should go and report these abusers, these people who molest them, or people who end up abusing them and make them pregnant, or even leave them with lifelong diseases and consequences of having unwanted pregnancies, having to take care of children they never planned to, with people they never intended to have children with. So, Mr. Speaker, it will be good if it is introduced. And last week, during on Wednesday, there is a member who said, if we introduce this education early in primary, we will be teaching our children, or we will be exposing our children to information they ought not to. But remember, if a child is abused, that person who has abused that child has introduced that child to things that he or she was not supposed to know. So it is better to be ahead of those people who maybe would want to teach and abuse our children. Mr. Speaker, I am of the opinion that even if it is possible, it becomes part of the curriculum. So that when a child knows that if one or two things has happened to them, some children might fear their parents. They'll be able to go and report it to the chief or to the police station or even to their teachers. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. And for those who will be bold enough to go and report it to their children, to their parents, should do it early enough. Remember, there are other challenges apart from maybe pregnancies or even the physical effects of rape and other abuses. A child might contract a disease that will live with them like forever. But if you bring that education very early, a child will be aware and will know that in case something happens to me, like in a case of rape or in a case of an abuse, that child will know that I need even to go to a doctor within 72 hours to get a PEP, so that you cannot get other diseases like STIs and STDs. But if you don't teach them, or if they are not aware of it, a child will just decide to keep quiet and not tell anybody. When you go and report a rapist or somebody who has abused a child, they always need evidence. And in most cases, they'll ask you not to shower, not to remove the clothes. But if the child is not aware, you will find that even before reporting to the parent, the child maybe have sanitized or has washed himself or herself, has changed, and that one will tamper with the evidence. So to me, it will be very important if the education will be made public. And Mr. Speaker, it should not only be introduced in schools. You find even in villages, there are still parents. We live in a community whereby we still have people who are illiterate and semi-illiterate. Others have gone to school and others have not even gone to school. You find that you have a parent who will report to you an issue. Like when you meet these teenage mothers and you ask their parents, what happened? What happened to your child? They'll tell you, I don't even know who the father is. My child never told me anything about it. Later on, when I realized they were pregnant, they tried to explaining to me, or they'll even tell you that I have known from the word go, but it was the uncle it was the chief of the area or other respected people in the society, and the parent does not want to share because of fear of the consequences. So it will be good if we can expose these people. In the early 90s, when the spread of HIV/AIDS was so rampant in the country, you would find an advert everywhere. There were billboards everywhere. It was before news, it was after news, in the radios, in the televisions. And it has really helped the people of Kenya to know how to control, manage, and even prevent, and even live with it because of the constant awareness. Awareness shouldn't be something that is going to be done one day. I've heard people suggesting that it should also be done in public barazas. Yes, it is good to do it in public barazas. But public barazas, you find not everybody goes to a public baraza. Or it is not a continuous thing that people will be having the knowledge day to day. It should be it should be made a mainstream awareness that will be done in churches, in mosques, in schools, in public barazas, and even, if possible, it should be provided in the syllabus to very young and very, when the children are still very young and very able to learn and get to understand it better. Mr. Speaker, just to conclude, I would also urge the members of this House, because many a times we are those opinion leaders, and many a times we get opportunities even to address people in rallies, in weddings, in burials, or other social gathering. It is always good to leave a word of sexual awareness for the people to understand. At times, people might look at it as a very minor thing in the community, but the effects are so much. In every family, it has been affected, and the consequences will live with us like forever. You find even some other behaviors that people carry on into their lives. You find somebody becomes a serial rapist. When they are asked, they say, I was molested. You find a girl becomes just unruly or uncontrolled in the society due to the shame or due to the challenges that they developed after being harassed or sexually abused. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion, and I would wish to appreciate the member, and it should be made aware. I repeat again, and let me make clear that it should be incorporated in the basic education so that our children can learn it as young as they are. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Makueni County.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I'm from Makueni constituency. I also wish to put my voice to this very important bill by Honorable Donye. The amendment comes in time because when we look at the offenses, sexual offenses bill, there is a gap it did not actually address, and it creates a lot of gap between the practice and the law. Because while the law was very clear what needed to be done in terms of sexual offenses bill, Honorable Speaker, the practice continued in our communities because of lack of knowledge. And I think that is what this amendment is actually going to address. Because when our communities remain unaware on the issues of sexual offense, even when the law is very clear, they continue violating without an action. And I think, Honorable Speaker, that is where the tire touches the road. I'm very excited because yesterday I was having a meeting with the community, and this issue came very well, very much. We are investing in terms of CDF to so many learners, yet getting a lot of dropouts through early pregnancies in schools. And those people who make those offenses, they are being embraced in the community because even the elders who come to settle the cases, they are still following their traditional know-how. They will even request the money to marry the girl. And even when the money marries the girl, the girl loses all the opportunities in life. And they are doing it with a lot of innocency. They actually, when they are deciding the man should marry the girl, they are doing it with a very clean conscience, thinking they are helping the girl to live and live better with her husband. Honorable Speaker, you can imagine how painful it is for a girl to surrender to be somebody's wife who actually raped you for the rest of your life. So I think this bill, if implemented, this amendment, if implemented, it will actually add a lot of value because it will give these girls awareness so that the law, the sexual offences law can actually be helpful to them. Honorable Speaker, it's also important to realize the social cultural setup of our communities continues still to promote some of these practices, including wife battering. Because they believe, because of gender biases that have continued from time to time, they do not see an offense in that. And this does not only hurt the woman, it actually affects the entire family. And it's also a sexual offense bill, which this amendment addresses. Because if our people get this awareness, Honorable Speaker, then we'll have many people in our societies who can stand up for the vulnerable and the disadvantaged. And that actually will bring a lot of security at the household level and even in the community level. Honorable Speaker, you know what is not budgeted, it's hardly implemented. If this goes to the mandate of the Honorable the Cabinet Secretary, it gives an opportunity for issues related to issues of gender violence to be budgeted for, because sometimes these are assumed to be very small things that are causing a lot of havoc in the community, but people think water, classroom is a big problem. But we realize these are very small, they look very small, but it is really touches the fiber of the society. So I think having this amendment will enable the secretary, the ministry concerned, to have a budget towards advocacy, awareness raising, right up to the community level. And Honorable Speaker, I think this will add a lot of value into our society. Honorable Speaker, I had one of the members recommending castration. But I think the issue is not the issue of the act, it's the dignity. We are not only looking at pregnancy. Pregnancy being a problem, we are looking for more than pregnancy. Even without the issue of, even if people were castrated, we are looking at what are you doing to the dignity of the woman, of the girl, of the boy. So castration, in my own opinion, Honorable Speaker, I don't think it will actually add a lot of value, because even castrating men is a sexual offences bill. It's a sexual offense because they are entitled to their sexuality. So what we are looking for is the discipline of the human person, and castration in itself is actually, because when we talk about a sexual offense, it's not about women alone. Even men need their sexual dignity and they need to be protected, and this awareness should be there. Honorable Speaker, my last point is the issue of when we are having formal education. I support this point. It's important once this awareness is entrenched, becomes law, it also happens in our school. Because when you have two parallel schools, the informal school and the formal school, the informal school in the community talking so much and supporting the issue of sexual offenses, then you realize the formal school may not do a lot. So when this awareness goes up to the communities, Honorable Speaker, we are likely to change the society and to live by values. Honorable Speaker, in a summary, this amendment will ensure that we have societies that lead their life based on values, and the value system will actually promote the well-being of the society. So, Honorable Speaker, I support and congratulate the member. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Masinga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to be able to say something about the amendment bill, 2023 National Assembly Bill 78, which is the principal objection object of the bill is to amend the Sexual Offence Act, CAP 63A, to mandate the Cabinet Secretary responsible for legal affairs to promote public awareness of sexual offences. This is the body of the amendment. And this amendment comes at a time when our country is bleeding for such offenses in our communities, in our villages, in all the places that we pass by, such that whenever such a thing happens, the dignity of that person is gone, and that person is shameful all through his or her life. This has become rampant even by not differentiating whether one is a woman or a man or an old man or an old woman. And this should be promoted by the awareness everywhere. The way the Minister of Health normally promotes their issues, this should be promoted the same, so that everybody is aware that the sexual offense is harmful, is crime, and it is an offense that needs no forgiveness. So I am trying to say that this crime is one of the worst crimes that one can commit to anybody, because you are forcing somebody to do anything which you are not permitted. And therefore, I am supporting the awareness so that this can be told everywhere, wherever we go, like the way we normally announce our bursaries. When you want to give bursaries in your constituencies, you make sure that even in the churches, it is announced. In wherever the meeting, there's a meeting, we shall be giving bursary on such and such a thing. So this should be told, and everybody should be aware that this is a crime. More often, many of these offenses, once they are reported, the police gets away with them. And even they tell the criminal who does such a kind of thing the tricks on how to evade it. And even some of them normally take bribes. Like I know a few in my constituency who took bribes to get away with the sexual offense of some minors. And therefore, this should be told, even the consequences of the people that does the act, and also the consequences of the police that tries to evade this crime act, so that they can help the victims, they can help the offenders to get away with it. Mr. Speaker, the bill also seeks to have education in the schools through the Ministry of Education or through the Cabinet Secretary. This can be a helpful channel, because many of the victims are young children, young girls, young boys. But when they are aware, when they see some people trying to trick them with some money or some biscuits or some of the things that they normally trick them with, like let's go and I buy you chips or whatever, that they can be aware that when they see such a people tricking them, they are trying to seduce them so they can have sex with them, a sex that is not permitted for young children and young boys, which is a forced act. So, Mr. Speaker, I am supporting this awareness totally, so that the awareness can be in the schools, can be anywhere where the community meets, and they should be talked openly without hiding, because many of the people that contribute to the hiding are the parents. Once a child is molested, once a child is committed that act, the parents try to hide so that the family is not embarrassed. But this cannot be the chore. The hiding cannot be the chore. The chore must be the issue that the children must be taught that they should be able to report, and they should be able not to wash themselves, so that the doctors can be able to know whether that person has been abused. And therefore, I really support the amendment by Honorable Ndone, and it should go a long way so that we are aware, all of us. The old people are aware, the young people are aware, the young people are aware, the victims are aware, and the people that intend in future to commit such a crime are aware, so that they can know that it is a crime and it is punishable by law, and everybody should desist from such offenses. For those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I raise my case.
Thank you. Honorable Mulher Harun.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to also contribute to this particular amendment bill, which is a very important bill. And I also want to congratulate Honorable Donya Doris for being prompt in matters women and sexual offense issues. And Mr. Speaker, I support this bill because it brings a very critical issue on public awareness, which is something that has very much deteriorated over the past few years. I think growing up and when I was in school, I remember there was a particular campaign that was run in our schools called Tumechil, which was airing on TV prime time. And it really brought out the importance of sexual education, sexual discipline, and a matter of morality. But where we stand today, you find if you live here, the next thing you find on the immediate billboards are massage parlors, which are allegedly advertising unnecessary and ungodly acts. Our country is a country that is guided by morals. The Constitution also emphasizes on that. We have seen how sexual trafficking and sexual cases are happening across the globe, with countries like America handling the files of the Epstein files, where young girls have become victims and trafficked. Mr. Speaker, if we continue to allow these public advertisements through massage parlors or pubs where you find young women who are carrying boards inside the clubs and bars, incriminating themselves as women, not out of choice, but because there is lack of proper awareness. So, Mr. Speaker, this bill will really bring out that matter. And I really want us, especially as a young person, and the generation coming after us, to be informed on the importance of having sexual discipline so that we can be able to address these issues. Mr. Speaker, there was also a campaign that was run by then Honorable Raphael Tuju, I think, if I'm not wrong, which really did very good awareness for children who are in schools. Mr. Speaker, this is something that we need to bring back, and I really want to thank Honorable Donya for bringing up this particular angle to the Sexual Offense Act. The second issue is on maslaha. I come from a region where maslaha is very much practiced. The Constitution, we know, allows for alternative dispute resolution, but explicitly matters rape or murder cannot be things that are handled under trees or where elders can come together to address it. So, Mr. Speaker, this amendment hopefully will also be able to seal that loop, and it's something that I intend to continue adding on to my voice even as we head to Committee of the Whole House. Mr. Speaker, the third issue is on technology-facilitated offense. With the emerging technology today, for example, what we saw with the Russian person who was in our country, He simply wore a Ray-Ban Meta glasses like the one I'm wearing and secretly recorded young girls. Whether it was consensual or not, Mr. Speaker, it is a technology-facilitated offense, and my recommendation is to frame non-consensual sharing of explicit images like that to be termed under the Sexual Offense Act. We already have that covered in the Cybercrime Act, Mr. Speaker, but explicitly it does not classify technology-facilitated offense as a sexual offense. So, Mr. Speaker, at amendment stage, I also recommend the mover of the bill to capture this so that we are able to seal these loopholes completely. Mr. Speaker, technology keeps changing every day. The vulnerable people always will be young women and girls and children. Part of the awareness should be that we promote both sexual education, morality as a country, sexual discipline, and protecting the rights of our girls. Mr. Speaker, the courts should also serve as a strong example. You find court cases dragging for more than 2 years, 3 years, which encourages more offenses and more injustices to be meted on young girls. Mr. Speaker, the courts must make their pronouncements on matters sexual acts and sexual offenses. Any person who is presented in court for raping, assaulting, or defiling young girls should not be let go on bond, because this then shows that the courts are weak. You find the same person who's been released on bond going back to the community and assaulting another young girl. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to add a clause to this Sexual Amendment Act that there is a certain duration of time where somebody who's been presented in court, the case should be concluded in not less than a year. That way, it will serve an example that we do not joke as a country about sexual offense or anything that violates the rights of our children and our country, Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to really congratulate Honorable Donya, and I will submit my recommendations to her to be able to add on to the bill. Thank you.
Well said. But I hope, Honorable Muhera, I hope you know that you can also actually do amendments yourself. You can actually file amendments to this bill yourself. Yeah, that's the right thing to do. Before I give it to member for Kibwezi West, in the public gallery are students from Kamuwongo Secondary School. Kamuwongo Secondary School is in Mwingi North constituency in Kitui County. They are here to follow our proceedings this morning and to visit Parliament, and we welcome them to the Hollow House of Parliament. There's the member from Mwingi North. You got 1 minute, if you must.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to welcome students from Kamuwongo Secondary School in Mwingi North constituency. I want to welcome them to this Parliament, the August House, just encouraging them that it is a step in the right direction. It reminds me of those years when I was their age, when I used to come and sit where they are seated and watch the likes of Martin Shikuku debate. Little did I know that one day I will be the Member of Parliament for Mwingi North. So I want to tell them that I also wish them well, that at some point in their life, they could find themselves in this house. So welcome and feel indeed in the right place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Jessica, I'm informed that you actually had convened on this parallel motion, a bill last time, and when you started the House today, you're not in, so you lost your 8 minutes. Approach the chair. Approach the chair, please. And as she does that, we'll have the member from Mwingi West contributing. Approach the chair. As she does so, let's have the member from Mwingi West contributing.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. From the onset, let me thank Doreen, the Kisii County MP, for bringing up this bill at a time when you witnessed over the weekend the Russian scandal. I can call it scandal because exposing the women, it's a very insensitive matter. when it comes to that issue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill is seeking to align it with the new constitution of the Republic of Kenya we got in 2010 by including the role of Cabinet Secretary in creating awareness of sexual offences. Mr. Speaker, we note with concern that we have got so many sexual offences bills which have been introduced in this parliament, starting with the one which was introduced by Njoki Ndung'u. But the implementation of the penalties in that bill has really been lacking and also not given too much attention to offenders, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill, if implemented properly, and all the stakeholders plays their role they are supposed to do, it is going to reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies in our women. Secondly, it is going to reduce, or rather to camp significantly, issues of teenage pregnancies, which we have recently witnessed in Kenya, and the cases are actually arising. I like the fact that it has talked about sexually transmitted diseases. I recall last year when I was reading a section somewhere, a newspaper, there's a lady who was actually she was bragging about, or rather, she was very proud, exposing the list of the number of male partners she has infected with HIV. And this was out of order completely, Mr. Speaker. By implementing this, we are going to curb the issues of sexually transmitted diseases. And also, we need to actually institute severe penalties of the perpetrators, of people who expose others to sexually transmitted diseases knowingly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the bill is also going to curb immorality. Prostitution is not, it's a criminal offense in Kenya. Actually, it is criminalized. And most of the time, these prostitutes, when they go, hey, Mr. Speaker, just ignore them. I know they want to.
Order. How would if you didn't go where you're going? You're going on a terrible tangent. The Honorable Member for Suba South.
Yeah, Honorable, thanks, Honorable Speaker. Is it in order for the Honorable Members to mislead the House that prostitution is a crime under our laws? The only crime is living off the proceeds of prostitution. That is what I know to be the crime under our laws.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. He is out of order, but I'm sure you also informed him, so he's now aware. Proceed and talk.
Mr. Speaker, prostitution may not be illegal in Kenya, but it is an immorality itself, and it is against religion. And our constitution recognizes the supremacy of Almighty God, Mr. Speaker. That is why I'm saying it is an illegal exercise in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, going forward, I would like to say the law is not static. We need to keep on amending this sexual offense bill in many ways by, first of all, ensuring there are heavier penalties for the perpetrators of sex offenders, Mr. Speaker. The other issue, actually, we need to do is to educate victims, the procedures they can undertake when they actually become a victim of sexual offenses, Mr. Speaker. Like, for example, when a girl is exposed in this act, she may never know where to start and how to do it. She may even end up saying she will be stigmatized, or rather she will be discriminated if she reports the issue, Mr. Speaker. And this is going to create awareness, and it will be best practice for us to protect our society, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the bill also needs to compel the health sectors, or rather the health centers, actually to provide emergency medical attention if somebody is sexually exposed, or rather is raped, and there are no medical attention given to her or to him, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, I fully support this bill. Thank you.
Asante Bwana Spika kunipatia nafasi nami kuchangia kwa sheria ya makosa ya kijinsia. Nashukuru mwanzo Mheshimiwa Doris Donya kwa kuleta mswada huu wa muhimu, wa sheria hii ya muhimu. Kwa hakika kuna watu wanapata shida, wananajisiwa au mambo mengi yanatokea, lakini hawajui sheria, hawajui haki zao. So sheria hii itaongeza ufahamu ya makosa ya kijinsia, ili watu wafahamu haya makosa ya kijinsia makosa gani. Sengine mtu mwanaume anaweza kukwambia mwanamke kitu kwa mdomo tu, lakini ikawa ni makosa ya kijinsia, lakini we hujui, unanyamaza, unavumilia. So ni vizuri watu wote, watoto, wanaume, wanawake wote wajue yale makosa ya kijinsia. Na tuseme haya makosa ya kijinsia yanatokea kwa wanawake peke yake, la, hata kwa wanaume yanatokea. Kwa hivyo sheria hii itamtunza kila mtu. Haimaanishi hii sheria ni ya wanawake. Makosa ya kijinsia ambayo nitayataja kidogo ni haya: ubakaji. Ubakaji, picha za haramu, mashambulio pia. Ubakaji unatokea na watu wanaficha. So watoto wa siku hizi wakijua sheria zao wao wenyewe, hata mzazi akificha, wanafunzi wakifundishwa kwa shule wajue haki yao. Hata mzazi akitaka kufanya hiyo maslahi, mtoto mwenyewe hatakubali. So mimi napongeza zaidi mheshimiwa, kwa sababu ataokoa jamii. Hii sheria itaokoa jamii. Kuna mambo yanatokea mbalimbali. Hata kwa sisi viongozi wanawake, kuna mambo mengi tunaambiwa, sisi tunavumilia, tukiona itaharibu, itafanya hivi, lakini huwa ni makosa. Nchi zingine ukienda ukimpata msichana pengine ako kwa reception, kuanza mambo yako, hiyo unashtakiwa kwamba wewe umemkosea. Sio hapa paka ifanywe kitendo ndio tumkosee, uwe umekosea. Ile kutamka tu huwa umekosea. So ni vizuri hii awareness watu kujua iende paka kwa shule. Ianze kwanza paka shule za chekechea. Ianze huko, msichana ajue au mvulana ajue kwamba haya ni makosa. Na tena wazunguke Kenya nzima. Iwe na kitengo pale ya kusema hii sheria, maana sheria ikiundwa ni ya Kenya nzima. Isiwe tu ni hapa pa town wanafanya awareness au wanaitana kwa mahoteli. Iwe wanaenda wodi kila wodi au eneo bunge kila eneo bunge, ili watu wajue haya. Kwa sababu sahihi Bwana Spika, inakani kwa mbunge au kwa women rep. Na ukumbuke sisi pia tunatafuta kura. Ukienda ukizungumza ushae kama adui. So itabidi hii ifanywe program, kama itaanza kwa machifu au itaanza kwa nyumba 10 au itaanza vipi, isiwe kwa maboardroom. Hiyo itafikia wananchi. Kwa sababu saa nyingine mzazi anaweza mzazi akasema kwamba mimi kwa sababu ya hii ya aibu acha nifiche hii. Kwa sababu kwa mfano mimba za mapema. Kule kwetu ikitokea mimba ya mapema, mtu anaona hii ni aibu. Sasa katika aibu hii wanataka kuificha. Sasa katika kule kuficha ndo anaendeleza makosa. So kutoka kwa walimu, kwa jamii yote, community yote, ili ijue haya ni makosa na makosa yatafuatiliziwa vipi. Pia ziwekwe mbinu, manake haya ni maoni mazuri, lakini maoni lazima kuwe na mbinu kisha ya kufuatilizia. Kuna sehemu huwa hazina polisi karibu, huwa hazina wasaidizi karibu. Sasa zile sehemu hata mtu akajua haki yake, kufuatilizia kupata haki yake inakuwa shida, ndio ubidi anyamaze, aone afadhali nifiche kwa sababu itanigharimu pesa nyingi. Kuna wakati inafika msichana pengine amenajisiwa, lakini haraka haraka ataosha, hajui kuhifadhi zile. Na ukifika kotini ni kweli amenajisiwa, lakini judge ataamua kwamba hakuna ushahidi, kwa sababu ushahidi mzazi yeye mwenyewe kwa alificha, aliharibu. Kwa hivyo sisi kama kule Lamu nilijenga nyumba za hifadhi. Hizo nyumba za hifadhi ziwezeshwe ili ziwafikie mashinani watu, kuambia yatakana ukinajisiwa ifanywe hivi, ifanywe hivi, ifanywe hivi. Kama vile sisi tunavyokwenda mbio tukiomba kura na kujitangaza, na haya mambo lazima yawe kwenye board, ziwekwe kwa ma TV, ziwekwe program za kuhamasisha watu kwa maredio, ili sote tuchukue jukumu, kila mtu kwa upande wake ahamasishe. Inaweza kuwa hii sheria pengine bado hata sasa hivi tunaweza sisi kama haya leo mazungumzo inaonekana sehemu nyingi, hii ni mwanzo ishaanza kuonesha kwamba sisi tunaongeza ule ufahamu wa makosa ya jinsia. So sheria ikiendelea na huku sisi pia tuendelee. Na pengine sengine unaona pahali uko, either ni mwanafunzi shuleni au ni sehemu za kazi, utaona pengine kiongozi yuko pale atatumia ile nafasi yake kuendeleza haya makosa. Kwa mfano pengine mtu wako kwa position, hufai kupata promotion mpaka aanze kulegezeana macho au muanze kuambiana maneno mengine ndio upate promotion. Hizo zote ni makosa ya jinsia. Inafaa kama kuna mwajiri anafanya vituko kama hivyo ashtakiwe, na tuone mtu amefungwa kwa sababu hiyo, na kufungwa kwake ni sheria kuwekewa mkazo, kwa sababu wale majaji wanatumia hizi sheria. Haya tunataka tuseme yote ni kwa sababu ya upande wote. Wasichana wetu au wavulana wetu mashule wanapitia haya mambo mengi, na pengine wanaficha kwa sababu ya uoga, au saa nyingine hata sisi wazazi ni wakali. Mtu akija kuambia mimi nimefanywa hivi, wewe unaanza kuwa mkali mpaka mtoto anaogopa kukwambia. So anadhalilishwa hata pengine na mtu wake wa nyumbani, mjombake au mtu wa karibu, kwa sababu saa nyingine tuna ile tabia ya kusema muheshimu huyu. Tunafundisha watoto muheshimu huyu, muheshimu huyu. Anaheshimu mpaka anaguswa mwili wake na yeye bado anaendelea kuheshimu. So ni sisi pia wazazi tuhakikishe tunaangalia watoto wetu na tunawafanya marafiki wale watoto wetu. Asante Bwana Spika.
For Huisero.
Thank you, Speaker. I also join my colleagues in supporting this Bill 78 of 23 that seeks to create awareness on sexual education in our schools. Though, Mr. Speaker, we have enough legislation around this area, we need also to ask ourselves, what are the causes of these behaviors? What causes rape? What causes defilement? And many of those ills, sodomy, name them. Before we start creating awareness in schools, Mr. Speaker, I believe we as parents, we have a responsibility to guide our boys and girls as they grow up. We have not been able to do well as parents of this nation on this area. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we must also help our children and protect them from exposure of some social media sites that incites them and they grow with that spirit, which eventually leads to these acts. Speaker, in Huisero Sub-County, the year 2025, we did instruct our principals and head teachers to give us a list of all girls that were pregnant. Speaker, we realized that by the end of that term 3, we had about 31 girls who were pregnant. Some of these girls were impregnated by even their relatives. Some of them were impregnated even by teachers, by even community members who care less about the future of this generation. As we discuss this awareness, we must also know and also appreciate that our judiciary has not been firm enough in dealing with these culprits. Sometimes you find somebody who has defiled a young one is given a bond of even 20,000 because there's not enough evidence, giving an opportunity to do more and creating this havoc to the community. Mr. Speaker, we are fighting a Russian guy in this country who, from where I sit, has been able to supply electricity to our women more than what Opionai is doing to this country. Why did this guy find himself in that?
What did you just say?
I said there's a Russian guy who has been misusing our ladies in this country, posting them on social media. On social media.
There's nothing out of order, Honorable.
There's nothing.
What is order? What is out of order, Honorable Millie?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he needs to actually give the correct information. He didn't say what he just told you. He said there's a Russian who is supplying electricity. I think, Mr. Speaker, given the fact that even what that Russian guy is a form of sexual abuse against women, it is actually wrong to then demean it by equating it to supplying electricity.
Did you actually
He did say that.
Honorable Baseka, did you actually say this, the Russian guy is supplying electricity?
Yes, Speaker.
And what did you mean by that?
You see, electricity is in different forms. You can have electricity that we use in lighting our homes. We have electricity that excites our partners. So maybe the context is the difference. But I mean, this guy has been in this country hoodwinking our women, calling them names, taking their videos, exposing them.
So if that is what you meant, Honorable Baseka, then I would ask that you withdraw the use of the word supply electricity.
I withdraw the word he has been supplying electricity.
Okay, proceed.
Now, Mr. Speaker, I was saying that the Kenyan government, through the Immigration Office, must now up its game in ensuring that they do vet all tourists who are visiting this country, knowing their backgrounds, and even ensuring that they know what exactly these tourists are doing in this country. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I support this bill. Thank you.
The Honorable Jessica Mbalu, you got 4 minutes to make your contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll use my 4 minutes. Well, Mr. Speaker, I had already said that I support the SOA bill by Honorable Ndonye, and some of the issues that I had not spoken about, Mr. Speaker, as I was consulting in our consultation room, is that, Mr. Speaker, the SOA bill will ensure that our children are protected from school. And very important to note is that SOA is not for female only. And when I say SOA, I mean?
I would suggest you use the word SOA in its full form.
Sexual Offences Amendment Bill. That sexual offences is S is for O, A is Amendment Act. So, Mr. Speaker, it is true that a sexual offense to a person, either a male, female, it causes psychological trauma, social stigmatization, infections and unwanted pregnancy, among others. This bill by Honorable Don has gone to define the offenses, like, for example, rape, defilement, indecent assault, including unwanted touching of the other sex, Mr. Speaker. Some other things that we need to look at, Mr. Speaker, even as we bring more amendments to the bill, as we go for the third reading or even other proposed amendments as a bill, Mr. Speaker, you will find that we have technology-facilitated abuse, like what the honorable member was saying. We need to also incorporate the bill to the schools, and this was brought very well by Honorable Karori Omondi, who has a bill that is almost before the House, trying to marry everything to the school curriculum, and also to have the education sector incorporate. So we will discuss it as the bill comes in. Mr. Speaker, very important, the bill is seeking not to allow out-of-court settlement. We have seen areas and parents and relatives going to settle out of court, and this is not going to cure the stigma in the affected or the survivors, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker is also seeking to put high penalties to the offenders, Mr. Speaker, so that at least we can reduce or we can make sure that the offense is stopped. It reminds me of my bill in the last parliament, Mr. Speaker, which we need to revisit on the GBV one-stop center. A one-stop center where a victim will find a counselor, will find a doctor, will find some legal assistant, and even a place to hide to avoid more harassment, and also to get immediate treatment, yes, to ensure that the survivor can be taken care of. So I'm going to follow up on the bill, the GBV one-stop center, so that we can have all our, the victims being taken care of immediately, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am on record. Also, we need to look at other issues like the age. I have a police post in Mtito one day, Mr. Speaker, when I went to visit the inmates. I found a very young boy, very young, and the explanation by the...
Please wind up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In the young boy who was 18 had sex with a small girl. So the boy was picked and the girl was left. So, Mr. Speaker, it's also good as we do our amendments, we look at some those areas as we bring forth so that we can have a bill that is inclusive. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Millie, I hope you can make your point in 3 minutes, because we have to wind up this. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll try to make my points within those few minutes, but I request that you make it 5. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy that we are looking at the issue of a sexual offences bill amendment, and I want to thank Honorable Donya for bringing this bill. Mr. Speaker, I was actually the author and architect of this bill. When I was in civil society, I wasn't in parliament at that time, and Honorable Njoki Ndung'u then sponsored it in parliament, and I want to thank her for the excellent work she did. Mr. Speaker, after many years since the passing of the Sexual Offences Act, it is evident that there are many teething problems, and Mr. Speaker, because where the rubber meets the road is when you actually then see where the challenges are. And there are many, many issues that have been highlighted, that have been noted in the implementation of the Sexual Offences Act, that actually calls for a comprehensive review. And I know that there is a task force that is working on a comprehensive review, and I know that the bill will come with a more comprehensive review. But I want to thank Honorable Donya that even as we are waiting for that, she has brought this piecemeal amendment. Some people were opposing it. I don't think there is a problem, because even if you bring piecemeal amendment, it will still deal with some of the issues that we are confronting. One of them is the issue of awareness that has been epitomized by the comments by Honorable Aseka, that even within this house, we need awareness on issues of sexual offenses, because sometimes we end up even victimizing the victims, Mr. Speaker. That in the case of the Russian guy who has actually victimized women, really the people who should, the person who is a victim, yeah, the women, not the Russian guy. The Russian guy is a criminal. And yet, if you actually see the way people are talking, they're actually celebrating him. I don't understand why, because sex is not a crime between adults.
It may be an issue of morality. It just may show that we have moral decay in this country, and perhaps it's something that we may be challenging our religious institutions why they are not effective in ensuring that we are not facing moral decay. But it is not a crime. So what is a crime is that if you have sex in private with a fellow adult, that you go out and share that, that should be a crime. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, somebody has mentioned the issue of technology-facilitated sexual abuse, affecting especially young people, but also affecting adults, as we have seen in this case. We must amend the law to provide for technology-facilitated sexual abuse. But above all, I want to thank Honorable Donya because of the issues that she's raised, but especially the issue of awareness. And we must rethink and really move away from our traditional notions about abuse. There were days when a woman wouldn't be married unless she's a virgin. Half the men here are marrying women who are not virgins, and nobody has taken you to court for not marrying virgins. But you cannot criminalize people because of morality. Criminalize people because of criminal activity. Abuse is abuse. We need to understand what abuse is, and that's why it's important. But we also need to create awareness with our young people so that they do not find themselves in situations where they may end up getting harmed. For instance, I keep hearing people talking about the way people dress and all that. It is not a crime to wear a short dress, but we need to inform our girls that there are people with the terrible minds that when they see legs, they think it's an entitlement to abuse girls. So we need to also get our girls to be safe and to take the first responsibility for their own security. The reason why I actually pushed for the Sexual Offences Activate then is because I worked at the Cradle. And when we founded the Cradle, it was support children who are in conflict with the law. But the cases that ended up coming to us were children who were sexually abused. And Mr. Speaker, some of them were cases which could be avoided if we had given better awareness both to our children and to the community in general. Because my time is up, I wish to support and congratulate Honorable Donya. Thank you.
Done. Honorable Donya, you have the chance to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like, before I make my final submission, to give Honorable Dorothy 3 minutes and Nzengu 3 minutes. So we start. So I can give Melly 2 minutes. I think that will be enough. Then I thought it was 15, mine.
Donya, you know you have 10 minutes. So if you
I can give Dorothy 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay, go ahead. And let's make it 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I too want to add my voice to this very important amendment and thank my sister, Honorable Doris, for bringing this amendment before this House. Honorable Speaker, the principal object of this bill is to amend the Sexual Offences Act, Cap 63A, and to mandate the Cabinet Secretary responsible, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that there is public engagement and public awareness on sexual offenses. Honorable Speaker, a lot has been said in this House, and I want to very quickly say, when we come to sexual offenses, Honorable Speaker, the perpetrators of these acts are people, in most cases, who are well known to the victims, Honorable Speaker. It is people who are very close, especially when it comes to children and young girls. And in most cases, Honorable Speaker, these voices are so silenced that they don't raise it even when it happens. Sometimes they are very traumatized if it is a close relative who has abused them and they cannot highlight it because of the stigma. Honorable Speaker, also, we have lost our girls through femicide, Honorable Speaker, because they end up in hands of people who are well known to them, and then they end up being killed, losing of life. So there's these particular offenses have impacted so negatively in our communities, Honorable Speaker, and it is the high time that we stand in the gap and do something. Thank you, Honorable Donya, for bringing this amendment before the floor of the House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Zengu.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity once again to contribute to these amendments. And I want to thank my sister, Honorable Donya, for donating that 2 minutes to me. I just, from the onset, rise to support the amendment, and particularly the fact that Honorable Member is proposing to amend the law to allow or to compel the Cabinet Secretary in charge of legal affairs to do promotion and awareness creation. So, because I think a lot of people may not understand what it means by sexual offenses. And therefore, we have young people who are like students, and sometimes they interact with the adults in the form of teachers or even parents or caregivers, and sometimes they are subjected to sexual harassment, and they may not be able to detect that they are actually being harassed and it is an offense that is being committed on them. So I want to support the fact that, yes, the minister or the cabinet secretary should be able to create awareness in all institutions, whether institutions of learning, whether institutions of healthcare, like people who get sexually harassed in hospitals, when the doctors are mishandling a patient, that is also sexual offense. And if we remember the case of Alliance Girls, remember it came up 2 years ago or 1.5 years ago, where it came as a confession of old girls who had been subjected to a lot of sexual harassment by the teachers that were supposed to take care of them. So, Mr. Speaker, I support the amendment. Thank you, Honorable Odonya.
Honorable Meli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this bill, and I want to commend Honorable Donya for really giving us a very good bill. And this bill on Clause 7 gives express direction to the Cabinet Secretary for Education to ensure that sexual offenses that affects learners, especially those students who become pregnant, those who are stigmatized, those who are traumatized, the bill expressly tells the Cabinet Secretary to establish programs, to establish safeguards, to ensure that those who have been actually affected by sexual offenses, the teenage girls, and at times even the boys, Honorable Speaker, the minister is supposed to develop programs of guidance and counseling, develop programs on how to ensure that these students or these victims do not fall out of the education system as a result of the problems of sexual offenses. Honorable Donya, I want to commend you because this is a problem that is very prevalent in our society. Sexual offenders are known individuals within communities, and they affect children. They stigmatize them, and in fact, they traumatize and even affect their educational programs in the community. So I want to say that this is very important, and Honorable Speaker, it is an express direction to the ministry and to the officers and to the directors of education within, so that the offenders are actually allowed to continue with their education. And I support. Thank you so much.
The offenders or those offended? Thank you. Honorable Donya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Kindly, please, I give Honorable Adipo 1 minute.
Yeah. Honorable Donya, you'll proceed to reply.
Okay, no worry. Honorable Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate the honorable members for their insightful contributions, ranging from informing the public on the importance of this bill, which I majored more on advocacy and awareness. The members' contributions were very welcoming. They noted, Mr. Speaker, that we should not encourage arbitration matters when it comes to sexual offenses, that we should not make things look nice when they are not nice, Mr. Speaker, like becoming soft on saying that we should not have sex education, while we know well, Mr. Speaker, sex is very important. No one can run away from it. No one came from Mars. We all came out of this act when it is done properly, Mr. Speaker. There is some agostopia behaviors, Mr. Speaker, which need to stop. And when we address them out, for example, we tell our people, when there are people who look at you seated or they start talking ill of someone else's body, how it looks like, you start telling us, look at her, you have big breasts, as if you wanted her to leave the breasts at home. You have big body parts. Such things, Mr. Speaker, when we talk about it, it's not that it is an offense. Rather, those are things which happen, and we live with them. Let us, as Mama County from Kisii, I encourage our people to come up and speak about this issue of sexual offenses. We all accept it is a big challenge. Even government should be very intentional about protecting the lives of our young people. And in fact, these amendments, Mr. Speaker, they are sufficiently vital as they will always safeguard everyone in our society in curbing sexual, child sexual abuses, because this has remained ugly and uncouth in the society. Mr. Speaker, while Kenya has made significant progress in strengthening its legal framework against sexual offenses, the persistence of these crimes in our society calls for renewed and deliberate action. For a robust law to achieve its purpose, the people need to fully understand its provisions, their rights, and the mechanisms available for protection and redress. This objective given to the Cabinet Secretary is simple yet weighty. It seeks to move beyond recreative enforcement and embrace proactive prevention through education. Honorable Speaker, by mandating structured and nationwide public awareness initiatives, this amendment will ensure that every Kenyan understands what constitutes a sexual offense under the law, the rights and protections available to victims, the legal consequences faced by offenders, and the procedures for reporting and accessing support services such as counseling. No one should ever feel embarrassed, Mr. Speaker, when reporting matters.
Oh, Mamba, please proceed to wind up.
Honorable Speaker, it is important to note that whereas the bill mandates the Cabinet Secretary responsible for legal affairs in consultation with the Cabinet Secretary responsible for education to establish programs to safeguard, protect, and promote the right to education of victims sexual offenses, it is the Ministry of Education that is responsible for making and implementing policies on the right to education, including programs to protect and promote the right to education of victims of sexual offenses. Therefore, this proposal may be amended to excessively leave these functions to the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Education to be responsible. I hereby, Mr. Speaker, wish to beg to reply, but I request you don't put a question because I don't think if we have quorum, Mr. Speaker. I beg.
Thank you so much. The putting of the question on this bill will be, as requested, be made the next time. We have the capacity to do so. The next order.
Order number 9, the Teachers Service Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2024. second reading.
Honorable Abdul Haro.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to move the TSC amendment, to move the TSC Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2024, to be read a second time. And as I do that, Honorable Speaker, I'll give a context. Honorable Speaker, statistics indicate that there are more than 3,300 head of schools and deputy heads of schools in acting capacity. Honorable Speaker, other estimates by teacher unions indicate that up to about 99,000 teachers might be acting in various capacities. This is a significant backlog in acting position, which has created a leadership crisis in schools, making succession planning a big headache for stakeholders. Honorable Speaker, some of these acting administrators of schools have been made to act for a very long period, some for 2 years, some for more than 2 years, 3 years. And when these positions come up for substantive filling, advertisement is made, and sometimes somebody is recruited in that position as a substantive head teacher or a deputy head teacher, bypassing the person who has been acting for 2 to 3 years. And these administrators, during the period they act, they don't enjoy any acting allowance or any special duty allowance because of the way their contracts have been designed. Honorable Speaker, some of the acting administrators hold even more than 2 acting positions or one acting position. For example, somebody is given an acting position as a deputy head teacher in a certain school, and then after 1 year, he is taken to another school again to act as a principal, making that person having 2 acting administrative positions. Honorable Speaker, these prolonged acting appointments without compensation erode motivation, it discourages retention, and weakens succession planning in schools leadership. It is as a result of this that this bill seeks to formalize and entrench fairness in acting appointments to be made in a structured manner, and streamline allowances that go with it. Honorable Speaker, the bill defines the period of acting to be between 1 month to 6 months, after which the acting administrator, after which the position could be filled substantially, either by the acting administrator or whatever mechanisms that picks on somebody else. The bill also provides for the qualification and remuneration for the appointment in acting capacity. Honorable Speaker, the bill also prohibits appointments in more than one position. There are some countries, Honorable Speaker, which have grappled with this similar problem, and they have had some very good case studies that we can learn from. For example, in Finland, acting administrators are clearly defined and compensated within structured career progression frameworks, ensuring fairness. In South Africa, acting appointments are formally recognized with acting allowances for stipulated period. It is with that kind of a background and context.
Chairman, for the benefit of the chair, we are not all teachers. Acting as what?
I had said earlier, acting either as a head teacher or a deputy head teacher.
Okay.
So we call them acting administrators of schools.
That has got to be clarified. It doesn't seem to be. It just says acting, teachers. You don't act as a teacher. If you're a teacher, you're a teacher.
Acting administrators, either as head teachers or as
responsibilities, yes.
as
So
deputy
maybe
head teachers.
you
Therefore, I beg to move the bill to be read a second time, and I will ask Honorable Dorothy Mudhoni to second. Thank you.
Honorable Dorothy Mudhoni.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is important, Honorable Speaker, for this House and for those listening to know that the Teacher Service Commission is an independent commission established under Article 2.7 of the Constitution of Kenya. And the Teacher Service Commission has a clear mandate on what they are supposed to do. One, teacher management, registering teachers, recruiting teachers, promoting teachers, transferring teachers, disciplining, and even terminating the services of those teachers. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that this particular amendment of the Teacher Service Commission, Bill number 27 of 2024, is very crucial and important for us as registrators. Honorable Speaker, I want to laud the MP for Mandera, Honorable Arrow, for bringing this amendment before the floor of the House. Honorable Speaker, of importance, Honorable Speaker, and what this bill is seeking to amend, it is to bring to a stop to fair administrative practices by the Teacher Service Commission, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, protection of teachers serving in acting capacity and protection of teachers in general, Honorable Speaker, it is the responsibility and the mandate of the Teacher Service Commission. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to say, as the mover has just indicated, we have practices where in our schools, administrators, principals of our schools, head teachers, deputy head teachers, and senior teachers, they have been subjected to a lot of anxiety, torture, and torment, Honorable Speaker, when they are given responsibility and they are told to act. And in the acting capacity, they are responsible for the day-to-day running of those institutions. But, Honorable Speaker, they keep waiting, agonizing, without knowing their fate, when it takes up to 2 years, 1 year, 6 months in acting capacity. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, this bill is seeking to have a clear direction on how long a teacher or a principal or a head teacher should act before being confirmed. And Honorable Speaker, this bill provides a statutory framework governing acting appointments. And the proposal that is indicated herein, the duration, which should not exceed 6 months. And Honorable Speaker, what we are saying, in these 6 months when that head teacher or principal is acting, they should be paid acting allowances, yes. Honorable Speaker, because they are fitting in that position and they do it on daily basis, and this acting allowance should not be at the discretion of the commission. It is something that should be documented so that we safeguard the teachers of this country from exploitation from the person who is supposed to safeguard them, that is the employer. Honorable Speaker, number 2, we have enhancement in this bill of accountability and transparency by requiring consultations with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. And when I say these consultations, Honorable Speaker, I have been a unionist. I am in this space, Honorable Speaker, to protect the workers of this country. And Honorable Speaker, we are saying workers should not be exploited at any one time, Honorable Speaker. And this is the more reason that this bill is seeking to ensure that if the allowances to be paid to teachers, if the allowances to be paid to administrators, they should be properly negotiated in consultation with the people who are mandated to talk and represent teachers in this space, especially the unions, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and this standardization of remuneration structures, Honorable Speaker, the bill is consolidating various allowances such as housing allowance, hardship allowance, commuter allowance, responsibility allowances, transfer and special duty allowances into a legal framework. Honorable Speaker, we have seen incidents whereby teachers sometimes are subjected to transfers, yet the employer does not even care to know how that teacher moves from station A to station B. Honorable Speaker, this bill is seeking for a clear framework which will enable the employer to make sure that once a head or an administrator or any other teacher is transferred to station B, it is the responsibility of the employer to ensure that arrangements are in place, proper remuneration is documented so that these teachers can be paid that allowance before moving to the next session. Honorable Speaker, we are also talking about improvement of the teachers' moral and service delivery. Honorable Speaker, it should be predictable. Teachers should not work like they are not certain of their tomorrow. It is the responsibility of the Commission, Honorable Speaker, and this is what this bill is seeking to address, that teachers should work in a way that every time they are very certain of the future. And Honorable Speaker, I want to state, if there is a field where structures should be proper, because Honorable Speaker, education in this country is what will carry this country to the one level to the other. And Honorable Speaker, when we talk about teachers being taken care of, administrators, it is because we mind about the future of this country. Because, Honorable Speaker, if we don't invest in human resource as a country, then we get it wrong. And the only way we can invest in human resource, Honorable Speaker, it is by ensuring that we have teachers who are well motivated, teachers who are well taken care of, and teachers who will always protect the interest of the children and the interest of this country. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, I want to say this bill is also seeking alignment with the constitutional values. Honorable Speaker, the proposed amendments uphold Article 41, once again, of our Constitution, where fair labor practices, and reinforcing the Constitution mandate of the Teachers Service Commission, Article 237. Honorable Speaker, I want to say teachers are not seeking a favor for us to amend this Constitution. It is the right of the registrators in this House to support this bill so that, Honorable Speaker, as the teachers sit in the space of providing quality education to this country, they are not treated unfairly. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I seek the indulgence of this House. Let us all stand up and support this motion to support the teachers of this nation. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to second.
Fair enough. Honorable members, I now propose a question. The Teachers Service Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2024, be now read a second time. What's your point of order, the MP for Yatta?
Thank you, Speaker. I'm raising on a point of order, standing order 97, regarding the limitation of debate. When you look at the mood of the House, many members want to contribute to this particular bill. So I'm requesting if we could reduce or limit debate to 5 minutes to allow members to contribute. Thank you.
Fair enough. You want the debating the time allotted for every member to be 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes? Any other member who is willing to weigh in on that? Yes? Yes, Captain Makilap. Are you supporting or you're opposing? You support? Yes. Fair enough. Anybody else who wants to weigh in on that? Yes, Honorable MP for Luanda.
Thank you, Speaker. I actually want to support the same,
because this bill is very weighty and important for us. So, Speaker, 5 minutes would be adequate. Thank you.
Fair enough. I presume that, yes, Dr. Gogo? Before I put the question, yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also want to support.
Fair enough. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members, I now put the question. The debate on this for members be limited to 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes. As many of the opinion say aye. As many of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Makilap.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to, from the onset, support these amendments, the TSC amendment for 2024. Mr. Speaker, what the mover had brought forward, Mr. Speaker, is fundamental issues that affect the teaching profession. Mr. Speaker, when we say we want the Teacher Service Commission need to pay acting allowance to administrators of various cadre. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about a teacher being appointed as an acting principal, an acting head teacher. You know, that position should enjoy all other privileges that comes with a substantive appointment for it to earn respect in the institution. Mr. Speaker, if you are given a position that that your colleagues in the staff room knows very well that there is nothing about it, you are just the same as many of us in this school, then that position will not come with authority and responsibility. It will not be taken seriously, even to those who have been appointed to that acting capacity. So, Speaker, and this is why we are saying, if just like in any other institutions or authorities, the circles of government, if you are appointed as an acting person, then you need to enjoy all that privileges or allowances that comes with that responsibility that you have been bestowed upon. So, Speaker, where to teachers being appointed to act, appointment as an acting senior teacher, an appointment as an acting deputy principal, or an acting principal, and sometimes even heads of departments, especially in big institutions. So for it to earn respect, then that position needs to be remunerated accordingly so that it will earn respect from the learners, it will earn respect from the colleagues or peers who are in that particular space. So, Speaker, putting it into law or an act of parliament, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that there is no lacuna. Most of our teachers, especially in those areas that are hard to staff, are always appointed in those particular positions, and they get nothing. So, Speaker, this is an area that we feel that this particular manual will come and breach the cap that has been existing for many years. For example, Mr. Speaker, when you say, when we put another schedule, fourth schedule, where it recognizes readers or facilitation of aid allowance or aid allowance teachers. So, Speaker, can you take, for instance, a teacher in Dadaab or in Baringo, like in a school called Saimaso in my place, the head teacher is blind. So for him even to move from office to the staff room, to the classroom, requires an aid. So, Speaker, this is a serious matter, that if it is not remunerated, then those people have a problem, because every time even when they are supposed to make a speech in school, they are assisted. Even if they want to go to attend to, to a call of a natural call, they need to be assisted. This is the kind of humanity that we want to treat in our society by giving them allowances, Mr. Speaker. So, this position also, for example, if one is acting to the wire of his retirement, then that allowance to being paid for responsibility as acting to the wire of up to including retirement will be made part of his retirement package, so that that particular person will retire with dignity. What we want to do here, this amendment is trying to dignify the teaching profession, to dignify the administrators in the teaching profession, so that they have honor within those particular institutions that they are actually learning, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there is also special allowance for responsibilities allowed those who have not attained their grade and they have been given an acting capacity. Let us not allow a teacher to act beyond 6 months. If you act beyond 6 months, Mr. Speaker, be confirmed to that position as a substantive appointment so that those teachers are actually, don't misuse someone for more than 1 year in the same acting capacity without anything, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, those who are acting when it comes to interviews for movement or appointment promotions, that acting capacity letter, that appointment to acting capacity becomes an added advantage, and that particular teacher be considered on priority basis for appointment into the next grade, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this particular amendment by the Teacher Service for the Teacher Service Commission so that it is anchored in law, so that any allowance that you earn in the teaching profession, whether you are the principal, the acting, the deputy, and so on, hands, respect, and dignity, and enjoy all other powers that their colleagues are.
The MP for Yatta. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the bill from onset from Honorable Arun on TSC Amendment Bill 2024. I have very solid reasons why I support the bill, Mr. Speaker. If you look at this particular bill, it focuses on very salient areas. We talk of allowances of teachers, such as housing, hardship, commuter allowance, and many other allowances. If you look at Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, Nairobi is very attractive to teachers because there are many allowances in Nairobi than in rural areas, Mr. Speaker. So this particular bill is so timely because it does streamline allowances, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to acting, Mr. Speaker, we have teachers who have acted in one position for so many months, Mr. Speaker. And it is unfortunate when you act. Mr. Speaker, I seek your attention. Yes, I'm saying there are many teachers who are acting in one position for so many months, Mr. Speaker. And you know, this demoralizes teachers. Imagine acting as a deputy for more than 1 year, and then someone else is appointed and takes over your position, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, this particular bill clarifies the period of acting between 1 month, maximum 6 months. If you do so or you exceed, through the bill, we propose TSC should actually appoint and confirm the particular teacher who is acting, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, through the bill, there are many benefits that are going to be derived from the bill. And one of the benefits is going to motivate teachers. Because if you have been acting and you have been confirmed, it means you'll be motivated. And as a result, even output teaching is going to improve. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I do see very important benefits coming from this particular bill, Mr. Speaker. Additionally, we talk of issues of predictability when it comes to service condition, Mr. Speaker, because you will be aware of the allowances that you are going to receive as a teacher, Mr. Speaker, through the bill. And this is going to give some level of predictability. You'll be able to plan very well as a teacher, Mr. Speaker. And that's why, through the bill, we support the bill because it's also going to promote better representation. Because teachers, when they are motivated, they are going to teach better, as opposed to when they are demoralized. Because if someone has acted for so long in one position, this particular teacher will have no reason to teach properly. And this is going to compromise the quality of teaching, Mr. Speaker. And in principle, you'll be able to see performance dwindling as opposed to performance improving. Because when teachers are demotivated, then the output or the outcome will be poor performance of learners, Mr. Speaker. Importantly, Mr. Speaker, through the bill, there will be strengthened governance and standards because TSC will be properly guided on how to remunerate teachers on allowances, at the same time on issues with appointments. This is going to promote fairness, equity within teaching as a profession, as enshrined in Article 10 of the Constitution, Sabbatical 2B, which talks of equity and fairness in service delivery. Because through this particular bill, all these will be attained, and that's why we support the bill, Mr. Speaker. Importantly, when I look at this particular bill, it's also important to look at the drawbacks that are going to be realized through the bill. And I'm talking of budgetary implication. There'll be budgetary pressure, because remember, with the clarity on allowances, standardization of on allowances, TSC will demand more budget. And that's why it's announced that appropriates budget for governance, for service delivery. We need to consider revising budget for TSC upward to be able to accommodate the amendment that we are proposing in this particular bill, Mr. Speaker. That's why when you look at the bill, the critics will talk of budget. And as a House, we need to take this into consideration so as we don't have a situation whereby TSC will push back the bill or raise an issue concerning how they are going to accommodate the new changes we are proposing. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support the bill and seek to incorporate the amendments so that we make it watertight to have it become operational. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Millie Odhiambo. Honorable Millie Odhiambo. Did you put in your name there just for the, or you seriously wanted to contribute?
Of course, Mr. Speaker, I want to contribute, but I can also consult my colleagues, especially on the issues that are of concern in regard to ODM party. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
That's not on the order paper today. What we have on the order paper is the Teacher Service
Yes,
Commission.
but we can always
proceed,
we can have a preamble, Mr. Speaker. This is merely preamble. Many Kenyans are concerned about what is going on in ODM. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I want to support, and I'll be extremely brief on this, Mr. Speaker. Teachers are the first and primary nurturers of our children, and therefore we should treat them with a lot of dignity and a lot of decorum.
Order, Honorable Makilap, Honorable Indindi Nyoro.
Mr. Speaker,
you will consult in very low tones so that Honorable Mili can be heard. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, you know Honorable Ndindi Nyoro must be excited when I say there are issues in ODM party. But he should relax. Even when we have problems in ODM party, we will sort them out. So don't be that excited. They are merely temporary. Mr. Speaker, I just want to say that I support the amendment because it's fairly straightforward. Because the practice all over is that when somebody is in an acting capacity, they should actually benefit from the, they should actually be given the benefits of the substantive office holder. Mr. Speaker, it's actually, this is an issue that we should even have been dealing with administratively. And I know that sometimes because the bodies or agencies that are supposed to deal with don't then deal with these issues first. It forces us then as legislators to legislate, which sometimes as a good legislator, I find like we over-legislate. But we are forced to do that sometimes when people are not doing their mandate or performing their mandate. With those few remarks, I support.
MP for Nandi Hills, followed by the MP for Luanda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The onset, allow me to thank the MP for Mandera South, Abdul Haro Ibrahim, for bringing in this amendment on the TSC, in the act that brings in the TSC to breathe in the air into expanding what should have been done way before on the matters concerning the fourth schedule on issues of allowances, and equally Section 32A, where it really touches all schools that we all come from. For instance, when the proposal that any teacher on an acting capacity must act at least 30 days and not exceeding 6 months, I think makes a lot of sense indeed, so that then beyond which such teacher must be confirmed or, be accommodated. And when it talks about that anybody who is put on acting must be qualified, and that being put in the law, I think, is key. And also that the teacher in acting capacity must also be remunerated or must be given special duty allowance. I think is extremely sensible. But what really has touched my mind is on the issue of the various allowances that I think also was very important to bring in to expand and make it also comfortable and make it comfortable for teachers to be able to work on a space where they are also equally remunerated in terms of allowances in a better way. On the issue of the house allowance, on the issue of commuter allowance, both of which, the proposal that when a teacher is on interdiction, they have not, where they can still be being paid the full house allowances, even though they are on half salary, I think also makes sense, because when you've not been proven or you've not been kicked out of service, I think it is important also for teachers to be supported in such a manner. But talking of the various the allowance that have been mentioned, whether it's hardship allowance, I think it has breathed here into it that when you leave an area of gazettement, that this hardship area, when you move, then that ceases. But of great interest to me, from the special duty allowance, responsibility allowance, special school allowance, readers facilitation and aid allowance, leave allowance, I'm keen on the transfer allowance, where the proposal that where there is a discretion of transfer of teachers from sub-county to another or inter-county transfer, that allowances be paid to such teachers. So my question is, what happens then to those sub-counties that are extremely so wide? Don't you think it would be reasonable also to consider that any form of a transfer, then, any transfer that happens, then those teachers must be given transfer allowance? Secondly, is even a situation where a teacher initiates on transfer, I think we should be able then to breathe in some air into it and say that it should not be only, say, in a period of 3 years or 2 years or even a year. If you make one transfer, then let us be considerate enough and give you some allowance to be able to move. Sometimes it's because of family issues and those challenges that makes a teacher to want to move from one place to the other, to be able to contribute in teaching, and contributing in the service of dispensing knowledge. I think that section IB must be reconsidered, just as I was just informed that in other, sector of the public service, even on transfer, you should be able to be given some support. So I agree with all the other allowances, but on this particular one, I want teachers, when they are moving from one place to the other, let them be considered for this transfer allowance. I thank you, and I support indeed this bill, except for those amendments that I've been able to put across the Member of Parliament for Mandera South.
MP for Luanda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity given so that I may also add my voice to this important matter about our teachers. First and foremost is to appreciate Mheshimiwa Abdul for this amendment that is well thought and goes a long way to address a number of gaps that currently exist in teacher management, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in this 13th Parliament, I've had the privilege of sitting in the Education Research Committee, whereby our main duty has been to oversight, among many, Teacher Service Commission. And this has enabled me be able to interact with some of the challenges that our teachers go through, especially when it comes to this matter of acting, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for far too long, our teachers have actually suffered some kind, to some extent, been mismanaged, in the sense that teachers have been acting for far too long, Mr. Speaker. It will be unfair, and it has been, Mr. Speaker, that teachers act for a position for 3-4 years in the same station,
then somebody is brought to take over the leadership on the basis that this teacher was initially not qualified to be acting on that position, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, this has resulted to many of our teachers being frustrated and being motivated, because after having acted for 3 years, then somebody is brought in the same station saying that you are not qualified. The question therefore is, why were you first of all given the duty to act? And therefore, this bill brings in the issue of certainty, Mr. Speaker. And if Teacher Service Commission should therefore be able to give an opportunity to a teacher to act, and the bill says that a minimum of 1 month to 6 months, Mr. Speaker, this will actually go a long way in curbing or eradicating the issue of teacher acting for 1 year, 2 years or so, Mr. Speaker. So for that, Mr. Speaker, I support. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, is whereby a teacher is given an opportunity to act, and the employer comes and says, indeed, you are not qualified to be acting, and therefore will not be confirmed. The bill says, Mr. Speaker, that if a vacancy is available, let us give it to a teacher who's qualified so that this teacher can actually be confirmed. And that says that we should move on and pay the respective allowances, Mr. Speaker. And therefore want to applaud my brother, who's found it well to really cure this gap in the law, whereby our teachers have been humiliated to some extent by having unnecessary years of acting, which therefore, which are never remunerated, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, another important part of this bill is the bringing into action Schedule 4, which now catalogs a number of allowances, Mr. Speaker, that these teachers are supposed to enjoy, Mr. Speaker. To me, this brings the element of certainty and predictability, which improves the issue of governance. Because, Mr. Speaker, when you are told to act for this long, the issues of governance are compromised. But when you are assured that you will be paid for this acting, it will be for a specific time, Mr. Speaker, and therefore this teacher will actually be able to ensure that governance and accountability matters are actually taken off, actually recognized, Mr. Speaker. A good example is the constituency I live, Mr. Speaker. Currently, as we speak, we have about 17 institutions which have got acting administrators. 17 is such a big number, Mr. Speaker. It brings in the issue of uncertainty. But if these teachers are confirmed, or we know that you will only be acting for a maximum of 1 year of 6 months, Mr. Speaker, it brings in the issue of accountability on the part of the teacher, and he or she knows, is well motivated, that he or she is equally qualified to be able to take up that specific opportunity when that encounters the Speaker. Therefore, support and say that this is a bill that is in time, a bill that will go a long way to cure the gaps that we have. I support. Thank you.
MP for Turkana East, followed by Madam Emase Mary.
I thank you.
Yan Daud and Yando next.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this chance and for giving me this opportunity to add my voice in support of this amendment bill. Mr. Speaker, the teachers of this country, they have suffered for so long when it comes to their new positions of acting in their stations. Mr. Speaker, this amendment, if supported and passed, it will really help our teachers to do their work with dignity, and they will be giving services to our kids the way it is required by law. As we can look at it as for now, our teachers, they are more discouraged, and some of them, they even not do their job the way it's supposed to be, just because of the discouragement they have because of this matter of acting capacity in their schools. In the constituency I come from, or I represent, so many schools, they are being headed by the teachers who are giving services in acting capacity. This bill, the way the honorable member for Mandera South has brought it to this house, we need to support it so that this capacity issue must be guided by policies or guidelines. So that when somebody has been given to act as senior teacher, deputy teacher, head of those institutions, it must be something which has some guideline. Because nowadays, it is just being given verbally. Teachers are being told to serve in the acting capacity, just verbally, by their teachers or supervisors, without even having a letter to confirm them that they are acting. And that's why I find some of them, when those positions, they are being now announced to be given to somebody, they have nothing to show that they have been acting. We want this acting capacity or acting positions to be supported by some documents or to have policy to govern it, so that these teachers, when they are acting, they are given some special allowances for their acting capacity, and also the letter to show that they have been acting. And it needs also to have time frame, not just for you to act for so many years or so many months without being confirmed. You just do that work, and when somebody comes, you are just being told, okay, somebody has taken your position, you just leave. It must be something which has written documents, and these teachers to have it so that when they're acting, they really know they are doing the job which has been given to them and supported by law. And that's why we support this bill, so that these teachers, some of them, they are being transferred in the middle of acting capacity. And when they go to their new stations, they just start from nowhere because nobody knew from where they have come from, they have been acting or not. So we want the issue of acting to be supported by some policies through the TSC. And also the welfare of these teachers. Once somebody has been promoted to be an head teacher, or he has been given a capacity to act as an head teacher, if he has no letter, if he has no some privileges, you know, even those who are working under him, they will not respect him or her because of that. Because there is no difference between them and the person in charge of them, because there is nothing to show that you have been given new role, and in that new role, this is what you are supposed to get in that new capacity. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this, and I ask all of my colleagues, we support this so that we can save our teachers of this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
MP for Emase, Mary.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I arise to support the Teacher Service Commission Amendment Bill 2023 by Honorable Abdul Haro. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I want to say this bill is very timely because it's seeking to address existing problems within the Teacher Service Commission. We have had so many teachers who have acted for so long. And so the bill is looking at the process. How do we structure and improve the process of promotion so that promotion is based on merit, promotion is for the deserving? Because, Honorable Speaker, even now, because of these delayed promotions, people acting for too long, we finally promoted too many, and they have no schools to be posted to, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and when the promotion, when the opportunity to promote arises, you find that an external candidate has been given the opportunity, and the teacher who has been acting for so long has been left out. What does that do, Honorable Speaker? It reduces morale. And when morale is reduced, you know, you feel kind of undervalued. And when you feel undervalued, what happens? Your morale goes down, and that impacts negatively on your productivity. No wonder, Honorable Speaker, we have some schools that perform so dismally, and we begin to ask ourselves why, yet the problem is within the process. So this bill seeks to address that problem. We've also met teachers who are so demoralized that they have lost trust in their employer. Because every time you get a call, a teacher is asking you, Mheshimiwa, help me get promoted. I've been in this position for I don't know how long. And you know, it shouldn't be like that. It should be automatic. It should be structured that you can act for this period of time, which must be certain, and that after this period of time, you will get promoted. So this bill seeks to restore that trust that a teacher is sure after this time I'm acting, at this point I'll also get promoted. Honorable Speaker, we've also seen teachers moving out of TSC and looking for other opportunities. Because you're so demoralized, you're not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. You're not seeing yourself moving. So teachers begin to look for other opportunities. And in the process, we lose valuable skills and experience from some of these teachers to other opportunities. And again, that impacts negatively on the performance of the students within the respective schools. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this bill, and it will help us address these challenges within the sector and give the teachers the confidence, the trust in the institution that's the employer, that all is well. I know after this period of time, I'll move to the next. And it should be timely such that we are not accumulating these pending promotions, that we get to a time now when we are promoting all of them, and again you are promoted. You have schools in my constituents where now I have a promoted teacher who is supposed to be a head of institution, another promoted to deputize. There are no schools to post them. They are all in the same compound. So how do you expect them to work? So those are challenges that we still need to address within our teaching institutions. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
MP for Imenti North, followed by MP for Nyando. Oh, did I say Nyando next? Okay, but Dawood, you will have to yield to Nyando first and then you. Honorable Nyando MP, Dawood number 2.
I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and allow me to also add my voice on this most timely.
Speaker Nyando, 1 second. I want to recognize the presence of students or pupils from Andewa Primary School in Mavoko, Machakos. You can rise up, yes. And I think I did see, is it just Kambalo? How did I see at the back there? Oh yes, proceed, madam. And because I don't see anybody else from Machakos here, you can proceed and give the young ladies and boys a word of encouragement. And then after you, the honorable member behind you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I wish to welcome the students from Mavoko constituency, Machakos.
Yes.
I am from Kibwezi East in Makueni County. They are here to see the proceedings of the parliament, and I wish them the best. This is how the members of parliament make the law. And I'm sure one day, one time, they will become members of parliament. Thank you for that. But now I go back to the contribution, Mr. Speaker.
Order, order, order. Order, don't hijack. The MP behind you, also from Ukambani, would you want to say a word of encouragement to the young boys and girls?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, I would like to welcome the students from Mavoko constituency on behalf of the Member of Parliament, Honorable Macau, and just to encourage them that indeed this is a way of learning how Parliament is, and hopefully in the future, one of them, among them, may become the next Member of Parliament of Mavoko constituency. So I wish them well. Thank you very much,
MP
Mr. Speaker.
Nyando, proceed on with your contribution now.
I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And with the same breath, allow me to also add my voice to the Teacher Service Commission Amendment Bill that is before us, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would be remiss not to make it clear that my late father was a teacher for many, many years before he retired in the year 1997. Honorable Speaker, the big difference between then and now is that they took a lot of pride in the good performance of their students. They never asked for more monies to supplement their stay and their comfort in schools. but they paid a lot of credence to the benefits accruing from good performance of their students, Honorable Speaker. And later in life, if their students made it, then that was a very big joy and ecstasy to the member of communities and the teacher fraternity, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on this amendment particularly, we have had a lot of stagnation that probably is not informed by any policy. Because on the same breath, you find a teacher who is barely 10 years in service and has moved 3 or 4 steps towards in that ladder, Honorable Speaker. But again, on the other hand, you have a teacher who has taught for over 20 years and is stuck in the very position for the longest, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, we need to define, definitely so, how a teacher moves from one grade to another, and also put a timeline, because a teacher should not be stuck in one position. It creates a lot of disappointment to teachers who work so hard to mold our children, Honorable Speaker. In South Korea, Honorable Speaker, unlike us here, where those who get A's in high schools are plugged into either engineering or medicine or some. In Korea, those who are A students become teachers, Honorable Speaker, because they understand the importance of molding a child to become somebody in future, Honorable Speaker. Whereas our curriculum does not really recognize teachers as much, but what happens in countries that have made gigantic steps towards economic progress is a testament that teaching as a profession is so noble, and only the best should be put into classroom, Honorable Speaker. I have witnessed in the course of my movement across the world, Honorable Speaker, a PhD holder teaching young people from grade 1 to grade 5, Honorable Speaker. And PhD holders in this country and in Africa in general are only put at the university level. Those who only handle people who have been molded by others but not them. So these are issues that we also need to reconsider, even as we work towards the horizontal movement of teachers from one grade to another, Honorable Speaker. Teachers have signed to work anywhere across the Republic of Kenya, but it has become a tendency, Honorable Speaker, that a teacher who does not align to the requisites of their bosses are taken to northeastern Kenya, Honorable Speaker, very far away from their homes, distorting their comfort, Honorable Speaker. We also need to, even as we understand the need to address the plight of all teachers across the nation, make sure that teachers are also made comfortable. And disciplinary measures do not necessarily mean taking them far away from their families, Honorable Speaker. So these are fundamental issues that we need to put in place as we work towards a teacher's comfort, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we also need to define a period in which a teacher can be in one particular school. Because just like judges who are put into a station for 3 years and then taken back to Nairobi before they are taken to another station, we have teachers who have become so complacent teaching in one school for over 30 years, Honorable Speaker. Now, what new ideas do they come up with in such an environment, Honorable Speaker? And therefore, I support this, and I thank Honorable Harake for bringing this before this august House. Thank you.
Yeah, Dawood, MP for Imenti. No.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the outset, I want to congratulate Mandera South, and I want to wish all Muslims a happy Ramadan and a happy Lent to the Christians, the Catholics. Mr. Speaker, what Honorable Haro has brought up, it's, I think, even if we say it can be done administratively, unfortunately, that's not what happens. Mr. Speaker, there is a teacher in my constituency. In fact, I was there 2 weeks back. She comes from Western Kenya, but she's been a teacher in my constituency, in my school, for 16 years. Been in acting position, initially as a deputy, then as a principal, then a principal is posted. After 6 months, a principal goes, she again becomes a principal, a deputy, and that is in acting position for the last 5 years. And that's when I wonder, what exactly is the position of TSC in this whole matter? Mr. Speaker, we need to have something that is definable, that if any teacher serves in a position of a deputy or a principal, after 6 months, they should be confirmed, because that's the labor laws. The labor laws say that you cannot be in an acting position for more than 6 months. And if TSC is doing that, I think it's going against the labor laws of the country, and they should be cited for contempt. Mr. Speaker, the second one we need to sort out is how are we going to treat the JSS, the junior secondary schools? At the moment, they are under the primary head teachers who now run even the JSS. Do we now call the primary head teachers principals so that they then are principals with extra responsibilities and extra funds? Because you cannot just call somebody to run the JSS and not give them extra funds or extra remuneration, and then you just expect them to do the job. Mr. Speaker, we need TSC to look into that. I hope Mr. Honorable Harrow can even include the JSS in his bill so that we pass it when we come to committee stage. Mr. Speaker, we talk about progression and promotion. Mr. Speaker, we should be what, like in the army or in the police force. A constable, the other day I heard a constable needs to move up to become a corporal, to become a sergeant, to become an inspector, and all the way up. In this, unfortunately, in the teaching profession, people have been there for ages and ages, like what Honorable Fonyando has just mentioned, have been there for more than 20 years, and they're stuck at one job group. They need to be shifted up, because if you have served for 3 or 5 years, then move them up. Give them a possibility to go higher and to be taken into administrative positions. Mr. Speaker, when Honorable Harrow was talking, he said 98,000 administrators are in acting position. And I think that is the highest I have heard of any institution as per percentage. Mr. Speaker, we need to get to the bottom of this, and I ask my colleagues to join Honorable Harrow, and let's make those changes what are necessary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Elachi Beatrice, followed by Honorable Ndindi Nyoro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Who was, order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. Honorable members, the chair has a lot of considerations. There's a lot of distribution, there's gender, there's regions, there are all the persuasions. So when the chair is reaching a decision, it's based on the best of intentions. So proceed, and I'll make sure you all get an opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
As I support, I really want to thank Honorable Harrow for bringing this, because one of the things that has been ailing TSC is this thing of teachers' promotion, Mr. Speaker. And for me, I'll be very, very brief to TSC. It is important for TSC to establish a very clear and transparent criteria, and to ensure that when you're looking at this criteria, kindly also bring in the requirements that years of service is very critical, how you have performed in a school. Mr. Speaker, you find that you have a principal who has been in a school, you've left a debt of more than even 60 million, but you're still transferred to go to another school to continue. Then you also ask yourself, you have been promoted, you've been transferred, but the school you have left, Mr. Speaker, is in a lot of challenges. Then you find there is a school where a teacher has struggled, has ensured, Mr. Speaker, there is no debt in this school. But that teacher will always tell you, I'm looking for promotion. So you ask yourself, TSC, do you normally just have a template where you rate your teachers in terms of academics? You find even in a school, a BOM teacher has taught in this school for many years. She is ensuring that those subjects, her subjects, they are performing. It is the highest performing subject in that school. But TSC will not even remember that this teacher needs now to be employed permanently for the work they are doing. So the incentive in terms of ensuring you also rate your teachers is needed in TSC. Mr. Speaker, they must standardize this performance and digitize and ensure there's a process of equal access where every teacher will track. If I have applied for example, for promotion, can I have a tracking number to track my application so that I know that indeed I'm following? Mr. Speaker, the other thing they must agree, you know, I'll talk about Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. And the other day, I really felt very sad, and I know I'm bringing a statement in the afternoon, of the teachers who passed on, Mr. Speaker. And I realized TSC has a very good cover for the job group of those who are at either Q or up. But then the teachers who are the highest, who are contributing also to ensure you have that better cover, have no cover, they are fighting with SHA, they are doing everything. And it was very sad that we lost one teacher from Makueni, Jacob, just because of the cover. That he went to Guru Nanak and they could not just take him in because of his cover. And so, Mr. Speaker, even as we talk for this, as we agree with Harold on all these amendments, we must ensure hardship areas also. A teacher should not stay there for more than 8 years. There is a teacher in Turkana who has been crying to be removed, and now she's sick. The parents are wondering. I wish Wanjiko Mohia was here. She is from Nyandarua. It is very sad. For 8 years, she's been in Turkana, Mr. Speaker. She has pleaded with TSC to come back, even to her children, nothing. And so, that is why we find sometimes, and we are pleading now with TSC. They have a new management. We have a new CEO who is trying her best to see things to work. Can we find ourselves now changing the system of the institution so that it works better for all teachers? Lastly, Mr. Speaker, Nairobi, whether you want to like it or not, it is the most hardship area, because when you look at house allowance, ask me how a teacher in Nairobi is surviving with his house allowance. It is so high that that teacher cannot even afford. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support, but to plead with TSC that it is important to reorganize your institution. Thank you.
Honorable Nyoro Ndindi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'll be very brief because there is no much time. First of all, is to appreciate the role that teachers play in our education sector, because, Honorable Speaker, our human capital is policed through the education system. And the biggest asset we have in our education system is the personnel who are the teachers and the lecturers and all the other personnel who make that possible. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is important that we make our education system and institutions to be the center of meritocracy, because everything else sprouts from there. That when there are promotions to be done and any other consideration, Honorable Speaker, merit should always be at the forefront. The second thing, Honorable Speaker, is to bemoan the fact that we have currently over 20,000 JSS interns in our learning institutions who have basically been volunteering to work for basically almost free, Honorable Speaker, for over a year. And the government had actually promised them that they were going to be absorbed into permanent and pensionable terms in the period of 1 year. But unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, they were coerced towards the end of last year, and they were coerced to sign an extension of the same internship, Honorable Speaker. It is important for all of us here as members of this Parliament, Honorable Speaker, that we call upon the government with immediate effect to confirm the JSS interns into permanent and pensionable terms. It doesn't matter whether the academic year has started, we can correct the wrong that has started, Honorable Speaker, with the 2026 by confirming all the JSS interns into permanent and pensionable terms. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, when teachers are getting jobs, because they are desperate in that situation, they are made to sign agreements, including a form, that they will not seek for transfer before 5 years are over. But, Honorable Speaker, I don't think this is the right thing to do. Because, Honorable Speaker, there is a way that we can make actually our teachers to choose where they want to teach. And we could end up having balance in our institutions, but also having happy personnel. I think we need to revise that policy of 5 years so that a teacher can seek transfer. Immediately they get a job. Because situations change. We could be having a teacher transferring from the area, the other one wants to go. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, that kind of marketplace balance can actually bring cohesion at the end of the day. Honorable Speaker, the last thing is that we must continue to agitate for totally free basic education in Kenya. And we have shown, and it has been shown that it is possible. And Honorable Speaker, during the budget making time, I'll be moving that we get 10 billion Kenya shillings from NGCDF, we get 10 billion Kenya shillings from Equitable Share, and the national government to give up 10 billion, we make a kitty of 30 billion Kenya shillings, because that money is enough to make free basic education totally free in our senior secondary schools, Honorable Speaker, including the lunch program, Honorable Speaker, so that free will actually mean free. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I submit.
Honorable Nzengu Paul, you have a very limited time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the motion on the proposed amendment to the TSC Act. Mr. Speaker, this motion is very timely and the amendment is indeed very important. I have received in the past petitions from deputy principals from Kitui County, numbering more than 200 of them. And the question was, they have been acting in those capacities for more than 5 years, and they have been wondering, you know, why shouldn't they be in that position for that long? As a matter of fact, I think under the current dispensation, we don't even need to have this motion as a money bearing, because I think under the establishment that are there, every acting position has some provisions for allowances. So I agree with the fact that we don't need to keep them waiting for too long to get promoted. If the position falls vacant, then that position needs to be occupied immediately. The same is applying to teachers who are in junior secondary, and with the current teaching system where computer has become an integral part of the teaching in both primary and secondary schools. And you realize that not all the teachers have been trained to teach computers. So the computer literate teachers are not getting extra allowance, yet they are doing extra work. So in all this, I want to say that, yes, it is indeed very important to look into the welfare of the teachers, particularly the principals and the deputies, in considering the kind of work they are doing, and therefore I agree and support the motion. Thank you.
Order, honorable members. The time being 1:02 p.m. This House stands adjourned until Wednesday, the 18th of February, the year 2026, at 2:30 p.m.